Sometimes you're open for a reason. Brown! Ring it up!
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Kick it around the perimeter. Shot clock winding down. Manick fires. Bottom. What a smooth stroke from Brady Manick.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Nice little pin down curl. Ready call. Woo! Williams supplying the block.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Justin Moore working with Samuels. Carlton out on him, gets a step on him. Samuels, as White closes, he scores and one.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Here we go on this Thursday afternoon. The Final Four a couple of days away. The NIT Championship game tonight. And also NFL news involving Tampa Bay. And today, one of the best all-time linebackers and where he chose to play at least his NFL and maybe his last year, who knows, of playing football. Also, Jerome Tang, the head coach at Kansas State, lost a member of his team that might have been their most dynamic player who's entered the transfer portal. We'll have that and much more. We're going to hear late today in the 5 o'clock hour, Raleigh Tejada, young man that was a starter for a long, long time. Had some great moments, had some tough moments. And then really, he just wasn't as involved in the last couple of games. Yesterday, when you look at Pro Day and you look at all the names, of course, those who have been in these all-star games or whatever, Craig had a piece that went up on the Sikkim 365 premium section. Raleigh Tejada's numbers he put up yesterday and some weight gain. He'll join us today by Zoom at 5:15 on what that might have meant to him as well. I have a conversation with one of the future stars of Baylor men's basketball, Keontae George, who's had a huge week, a huge year. That's at 3:30 today, plus much more as well. All right, Paul Catalina. Nigel Pack leaves Kansas State. Not many, you would think, would ever leave if they got to know Jerome Tang, but there's reasons guys go to schools, and sometimes it's for the coach that used to be there.
Yeah, and if he went for Bruce Weber's not there anymore, so it stands to reason that he would leave. But I think it's probably unfortunate for him he won't get to play for Jerome Tang. But curious to see where he goes. I mean, he was their best player last year, and that's going to be something to overcome for Coach Tang, not having their best scorer, their best all around player, all Big 12 guy that's already gone. And I'm interested to see also where he is leaning towards going.
He's from Indianapolis. You wonder if that's where he ends up in that area. Heck, he could end up anywhere, but a 6-foot explosive guard, averaged 17 points a game for Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, not surprising when there's a coaching change. I mean, this stuff happens no matter if you're a star player or not. Just because you're a star player doesn't mean that you necessarily want to stick around and basically restart your time at that school with a new coaching staff. Nigel Pack's a great player. He hasn't closed the door on K-State, it appears, so Jerome Tang can still get in there and try to lure him back. But, I'm sure it's going to be a feeding frenzy with teams from all over the country, stumbling upon NIL, functions that just somehow allow them to throw that into the ring. And, he'll probably have a bunch of good offers, not just, offers from the school, like a scholarship, but like offers NIL-wise and things like that. Wouldn't be surprising to see that come into play, but be great if he eventually found his way back to K-State and got to play for Jerome Tang. I think that he and everybody else would benefit from playing for him, but part of the deal, and if anything, maybe it not that Jerome Tang's looking to alleviate any pressure, but if a Nigel Pack leaves, and that does kind of decrease the expectations, I would think, a little bit, not for him personally, but for outsiders' perspectives, in terms of what they do in year number one. But look, with the transfer portal these days, you can lose a big-time player and go get one a day later. if the timing's right. So, we'll see what happens.
Alyssa Smith named to yet another couple of All-American teams, and she also won an award that's given to a senior who stays through and finishes her career. Lauren Cox was a part of that back in her day, which seemed like a long, long time ago. So that's something else from today. Women's basketball, their Final Four starts tomorrow. NIT Championship tonight, A&M against Xavier. And then, of course, the Final Four in New Orleans with North Carolina Duke as the nightcap, and before that, Villanova and also Kansas. Also, Craig's off the radar. Paul's top five. Bob Herrick covers golf on Tiger's appearance at the Augusta National earlier this week, and we'll also hear from college football writer Max Olson. Armstrong, do you have the Davion Mitchell highlight too? It's just a kind of a fun way to start the day. He's the rookie at Sacramento. We know he's a part of Baylor's national championship team. This was a maybe as good a dunk, and there'll be maybe 25 or 100 in the NBA, but watch Davion Mitchell with this highlight clip.
Got to say it again. He just looks so comfortable. There's a difference.
Oh, no! Wow! Davion Mitchell, that is the...
On Joe Ingles, but
that's going to be on some posters.
To elevate like that, throw it down, and my favorite part of the whole thing is when he turns to the bench and flexes on him right there.
There you go. That's Davion Mitchell. He's had a really nice rookie year for Sacramento. A lot of different stats and much more. I just thought we'd open up as part of the opening segment today. He is really playing well. And again, Sacramento, they're taking advantage of some of the schedule they have right now. But, man, when you see that, we saw that a lot when he was, of course, a national championship guard at Baylor.
Well, the Kings actually have something to build around. A lot of their draft picks have left a lot to be desired over the years, and they've had some high ones, some really highly thought of ones. But, Davion Mitchell is something that you can really build around because he's actually a worker. I think they've drafted a couple guys that were kind of more interested in being NBA players than being NBA stars or, starters. Just getting there, that's what they wanted. So, hopefully the Kings can build something around him because I would hate to see him have to languish there for too long. But NBA free agency is what it is. So I'm sure he'll wind up in a good place if the Kings can't do something for him.
Yeah, not anytime soon, though. Yeah. He's a rookie, so, he's not going anywhere anytime soon unless they trade him. But, as far as being a rookie, he's had a fantastic year. Didn't get off to necessarily, some fast start where he's a starter right away and he's all-star team and things like that. But he's had a terrific year. He's gotten steadily better. His minutes have increased. His shooting's improved. He's doing things like that with a lot more confidence now, and I think he's turned a lot of heads this year, and I think that he's become an integral part of that roster in terms of just kind of the heartbeat, and his defensive mentality is carried over for them, and that was evident pretty much right out of the gates. But yeah, his scoring is starting to become a bit more steady, and he's been in and out of the starting lineup just at different times depending on when you look this year. But while they have floundered with some of their past picks, they do have a little bit of talent and some things to build on, and Davion's a big part of that. I'm excited to see what he continues to do. There was knocks on, is he big enough, or can he shoot, or it's different critiques that everybody has when they're entering the league, but I think he's answered any and all questions, and I don't think he's going to be headlining the all-star teams anytime necessarily soon, but I wouldn't rule that out as far as a possibility for him one day, getting a selection like that, and right now he's doing really well for himself, so I'm excited to see him kind of open it up a bit more, and they seem to love him there. They absolutely seem enthralled with what they've gotten so far. So yeah, that was a huge play. Just in terms of highlights, even though it was pretty early in the game, and he's doing his thing, man. He really is. I'm very happy to see how well he's doing.
He can bring a breath of fresh air and some enthusiasm and infusion of energy into an organization. He has done that, still has to improve his shot, and we saw him do that as he was progressing throughout his career at Baylor. Armstrong, the logo of all the NFL teams that were yesterday at Baylor. Of course, pro days are going on throughout the country, and this is a nice little note they put up, 31, and you start digging around for all the different logos. Craig just mentioned right before the start of the show, the only team that did not, at least was not present at pro day,
the Los Angeles Chargers, apparently. That's according to Matt Miller of ESPN. He had said that there were 30 of 32 teams, but there were 31, and I think he corrected that later. But the one that he had down, I forget who it was, but they were confirmed as being there. So the only team that is left is the Los Angeles Chargers as far as not being there. So, yeah, everybody but them, and plus XFL and CFL teams and, whatever other leagues are out there right now that may have sent a scout or something. But, yeah, just the Chargers. Not sure why, just not interested in any of the prospects. Didn't feel the need to be here to see them up close. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, other than them, they had the full meal deal.
So that was it, and those are the logos. Thanks for putting that up, Armstrong, as well. Paul, a couple of quick notes. You both follow the NFL most likely, and I think, no question, a lot closer than I do. I keep up with it, though. But if you're a Cowboys fan, you've been frustrated throughout the offseason, correct?
Yes.
And it's always about the cap. Now, again, this doesn't mean what the decisions they're making are wrong. It just seems like it's a little frustrating when you hear someone to allude to the salary cap or we can't afford them. If you want somebody, you can afford them. The Rams today, a player that you would think would have helped the Cowboys quite a bit, would have helped anybody quite a bit. Bobby Wagner is going to the Rams.
Yeah, 5 years, $50 million is the first numbers we get. I don't know what's voidable and what's, what the actual contract is. All these contracts aren't what they are on the surface. There's something else so they can move around for the salary cap. But, the Cowboys are going to constantly cite the salary cap. And look, they were not going to give anybody a 5-year, $50 million deal. They're not going to have anybody on the books for that long that's a free agent. That wasn't going to happen. But when the Rams can do it, and you got to wonder how their cap works at all, given the draft pick. Like, they've traded away draft picks and they've signed veterans. So, I mean, the cap is what it is if you can figure it out and take the lumps. And the Cowboys, it's been, I don't think Jerry quite realizes how long it's been since they won, because if it's been 26 years, why not go all in and wreck your cap? If it's going to work for a couple years, it's working for the Rams. So I think that's what the argument is against it. But yeah, Bobby Wagner, and you heard Stephen Jones say this week that, they were really out on him early because this was the kind of deal he wanted and he got it.
I love the way he plays the game. He's not as good as he was, but he can still help a team. And
it's a 6-time All-Pro.
Every single team could use his leadership, experience, and also the way he also plays the game as well. Also, a note from someone that we love. John McClain, who's with us every Tuesday at 5:30 with the Houston Chronicle, today announced his retirement. He is working on some things to do in the future. John can't just walk away from what he does, which is write, storytelling, insight, experience, knowledge, and encyclopedia mind when it comes to the National Football League, but many other things as well. Former Baylor graduate as well, or a Baylor graduate. He announced today in a column that he's retiring from the Houston Chronicle. 47 years. Craig, he was on a show with you at the place we used to be. He was on a show with me when I did radio in Tyler. Paul, he was on a show before I got to Waco, and he remained on the show here in Waco. He's with us on Tuesdays. He called me earlier this week to let me know what was going on. He's working on some other ideas, but he said to me, hey, if I'm not a part of the Chronicle, will you guys still want me to come on a show? I don't care if John was on a boat in Tahiti. We would want him to come on and discuss the National Football League and life.
I've never done a radio show or whatever this kind of show is without John McClain. So, yeah, I wouldn't know how to go about it. As a matter of fact, I did 2 radio shows in San Antonio in 2020. Guess who one of our guests was?
John McClain.
Yeah. So no matter where I've been, I've always had John McClain on the radio. So it's not too surprising that when you think about it, that it's probably time for him to hang it up. But he's great, and again, we can have him on now. We don't have to focus on the NFL. We can ask him about anything. Believe me, he's got opinions.
Yeah, he does. Excited for him to announce what he's going to be doing next. And long time at the Chronicle, legendary career there. Good for John. I'm sure it'll be fun to do something a little bit different after all that time in one place. Although appreciative he was of that time at the Chronicle and respectful of it and all that. But, he's getting up there in life, doing a little something different, something fresh and new. Seems like it's probably going to be good for him, and excited for him to get going with all of that. But, Hall of Fame career, and love talking to him, and we'll still be talking to him, so that's good.
We will. Again, it's 3:14 in the studio today. Emery Winter, Faith Lynch, Jack McKenzie, Armstrong Sims. We have full throttle of everybody, including you who are watching and also being a part of the chat room or just watching us or listening to us, however you might be doing that as well. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak, and again, we are loaded up today with much to get to and much more to discuss. Now, with James Akinjo's decision, I spoke to one of the Baylor coaches today. I interviewed Keontae George, and one of the things that we sit there and go, okay, transfer portal, whatever else, they might just do what they did when they won a game earlier this year. Remember when Akinjo didn't play at West Virginia and they found a way? You'd rather have your point guard, a guy, the alpha, right? But just this is not what I'm not saying this is the plan, but they feel pretty good about who they all have coming back at guard, along with what Keontae George, and I asked Keontae George, it was recorded, about the point guard position and his opportunity for that maybe as well.
Having not heard it, I'm assuming he feels like he could probably do it. Most guys of his talent level feel they can do most anything, and through high school he's shown that he pretty much can. But yeah, if it's Adam Flagler or if it's winds up being LJ Cryer or just trying to make it through and kind of play positionless basketball, then yeah, I mean, you would prefer to have the guy, but they're pretty good at finding a guy in the transfer portal. I mean, you can go to, Kenny Cherry and Manu Lecomte and Pierre Jackson, name them. They're there. Davion Mitchell.
A kid from Yale.
Yeah, exactly.
Makai
Mason. Yeah, so all of it's worked out. So, I assume if they want to go get one, they can go get one.
All right, let's take a break.
I'm confused as to why he went. I mean, I don't know what his pro prospects are, but I don't know that he's a surefire draft pick. So I'm a little confused on that side as to well, maybe not confused. I'm curious to know what his feedback was. Because I don't know that he's a guaranteed draft pick, and that's just kind of scary to me. I mean, these guys have options, and he knows far more about what his options are than I do. Maybe some team in Germany's already told him if the NBA doesn't draft you, we'll pay you $1 million a year. I don't know, but when you don't seem like a surefire thing, it's just a puzzling decision to me if you can come back to college. But hey, again, don't know his situation and don't know what he's been told. Would have been great to have him back at Baylor just to give them, depth. If any, not that he'd be a depth piece, but like have another guy that you already know what he has and what he's capable of, and you add in a Keontae George to that. Like, it's just fun to think about what all their options could be. But they won't have that option. So, best of luck to them. I don't worry about them trying to find, guard play. It's, something like Paul said where the transfer portal's right there and available. And, Keontae George is somebody they seem to be very, very excited about at the point guard spot. So, there are some questions, but I think they'll be okay. And even with the couple of departures the last couple of days, I think those were expected, quite frankly. So not really feeling like there's too much like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy left and what are we going to do? Like, they're fine. They're going to be fine. And I'm sure we'll be talking about some great player like we did last year with James Akinjo, just out of nowhere, or every other guy who's transferred in over the last few years. I'm sure there'll be some name we talk about here in the next couple of months that, is a great addition.
And, of course, there's still decisions to be made by Jeremy Sohan, Matthew Meyer. So far today, nothing. Tim Fitzgerald, who writes for Kansas State, he's the one who has been on with us and back when the Jerome Tang hire, and we've talked to Tim before. Nigel Pack is a great player and a great young man, but the direction of the program changed. You're either in or you're out. Choose wisely. And then someone asked him about the concerns. What he said, the last 2 years, Kansas State is 23-37, 10-22 in the Big 12. Finished 9th both years in the conference, although this year was using the tiebreaker. So there's somebody who doesn't pull any punches about K-State moving in the direction they're moving and the fact that they'll be fine. And Jerome Tang and his staff will find ways to move on as well.
They'll be just give me Jerome Tang over Nigel Pack for next year and the years after 10 times out of 10. Really good player, and I'm sure they'd love to have him, but they'll be fine. Like, I'm not worried at all about Jerome Tang finding talent. They're going to have some set of expectations and probably some high expectations, even though it's a new changeover. And if Nigel Pack wants to be a part of that, great. If not, they'll be good. Like you said, it's a new culture there, and they would love to have him. But if he's going to be of a different mindset, then good luck to you. And we got to do what we got to do.
Well, and look, at Kansas State right now, it's not just about one guy. I mean, they finished 9th in the reason with him on in the conference for a reason, and he was on that team. So, when it comes to the transfer portal, I'm sure that Jerome Tang's probably going to try to add 3 guys, if not more, and try to get that thing turned around as quickly as he can. So, yeah, if he loses one but then gets 3 guys who can help them, finish 6th or 5th in the conference next year, then I'd say that's a fair trade.
Now, I'm interested to see where he goes, though. I mean, if he stays in the Big 12 or if he goes off to a blue blood out there somewhere in the rest of the Power 5 or goes to more of a traditional basketball power. I don't know. He's got whatever options are available to anybody else and probably more. But I think that they'll be fine and he'll be fine. He'll go somewhere and probably play for a year and do really well on a team that's already got some good players and hopefully fits in nicely, because I was just yesterday with the whole pro day thing, just thinking about John Lovett and how he is the opposite of a transfer success story.
Yep.
And then I think about the 4 guys Baylor brought in football, and they were the definition of transfer success stories. They all did well for themselves, whereas Lovett was the opposite of that. So you never know in the transfer portal. I just hope Nigel Pack lands in a good spot and has a good, remaining college career. And, obviously I'm wanting Kansas State to do well and believe they will do.
When we come back, he is an incoming star, will be on campus this summer. He plays for IMG Academy. He, of course, was a part of the McDonald's event, won the 3-point shooting contest, scored 13 points in the game. He's a Jordan Brand, all of that, and he can shoot the basketball, but more than that. Keontae George, who has a game going on, in fact, right now, so he was nice enough to give me a chance to record his thoughts about when he gets to campus and why, and also, not why, what he does, but also his thoughts about Baylor, the coaching changes, and what position he wants to play or what he might be a part of. This is Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the city of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Cars priced right both day and night at Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue at Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room at Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust at Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
We're now joined by Baylor signee Keontae George, McDonald's All-American, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. How do you have the energy to play in all of these events? And it seems like every time you play, you're the same player day in and day out.
Just take care of my body. Doing a lot of stretching, getting in anywhere I can do. So, just trying to keep my body fresh, getting up proper sleep, just doing the necessary things I can so I can play the same, each and every night.
You were a part of the McDonald's event. You won the three-point shooting contest. Obviously, then you were in the game and had a nice game as well. And all of it's going on. What was that event like? Also to go against that kind of competition, which, of course, is what you're used to. But kind of explain how much fun you had and just the event itself.
I definitely had a lot of fun. It's a lot of history behind that event. They had a lot of guys come through it. It was a blessing to be a part of that event. I had a lot of fun competing against, the top guys, the top 24 guys. So, just each and every day, just bringing my all, in the practices and the game. And then just most of all, just having a lot of fun with those guys, off the court, getting to know a lot of them. Every time we played each other, we just trying to compete, trying to, beat each other. So, overall, I just had a very good time.
That's awesome. And then you won the three-point shooting contest. You put up a number, and then there were a couple of people coming after you. What was that like to watch the end of that and then know you won it?
I was actually going. Grady was the last person to shoot, and then he missed a couple of shots. It was me and my teammate just walking. We just watched. Hopefully he was missing because he was a great shooter, and then I ended up, being the highest scorer. And I was just happy to win that.
Keontae, you didn't get here just accidentally. It takes a lot of hard work from time when you were young. When you look back at all of what you did and the love of basketball and the commitment you've put in, what does that now mean when all this starts to pay off?
It means a lot, for sure. I've been be able to bless with this talent. The work I put in each and every day, especially, coming up from middle school to now, I had to book a Wolfhawks. We just believed in it each and every day. So we stay in the gym, and then, I started, getting noticed, and then everybody started to see the work that I put in. I've been able to, take the stuff I put in my workouts, put it in the game, and just all of it was translated.
Did you ever doubt yourself? Was there ever a time when you started to make that rise where you still weren't so sure you belong?
I believe in myself for sure. And then, having like I said, my trainer and my family behind me, it just made me want to work even harder. So it was a lot of guys that were getting, seen, getting ranked. But, it just told me to stay the course. all that just mattered at the end of the day. So I stayed the course, and now I'm here. And, I'm able to go D1, full ride. So just staying the course is really, the main thing that I, wanted to stay true to.
You're having a great run. In fact, you have a game today. You told me about that, and I was talking to Coach Brooks about it. He was like, Alvin said, I don't know how he has the energy to play at that level, game in and game out. How much did it help that Coach Drew, the change in the coaching staff with Coach Tang going to Kansas State, but Alvin?
They all remain intact for sure. He just let me know it's going to be a little coaching change, but it's a great coach there. I knew they was going to bring in somebody good, so I didn't want to, think about anything. I didn't think about leaving at all. Coach Drew, he's a really good coach, but ultimately he's a really good guy. The whole staff is. So, I just know they was going to care for me each and every day on and off the court. So there was no reason for me, to leave that type of situation.
Well, every one of them to a man said, every single one of them talked about your family, talked about your upbringing, and talked about the kind of person that you are. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot to just see, those guys just talk about my character. I try to pride myself in that, not treat everybody with respect. Nobody is hot. I'm not higher than nobody. So, we're all on the same level. So just hear that, those guys talking about my character, it just shows that I've been able to stay true to myself.
How important is it to get on campus this summer? I think that's when you're going to arrive and start building some chemistry with those who are there.
That's very important, getting a head start. Learning the different concepts that they have on offense and on defense. Just ultimately just getting to know the guys, that's there on a deeper level. And then, just getting all the work in I can. But, at the end of the day, I have a goal to make it to the highest level. So, I'm going to just, stay true to the grind like I always have. It's got to be there, so I'm not going to stop.
Do you get a chance to communicate with Adam Flagler or LJ or others on the team very much?
I talk to them every now and then. I mostly talk to, Jeremy, talk to Langston a lot. So, I just try to keep in touch with some of those guys for sure. It's just, after the loss, I just, told them, I feel their pain. I felt the pain as well. So it was really important for me to stay in touch with those guys for sure.
You can shoot it. You can put it up. You can handle the ball. James Akinjo yesterday announced that he was going to enter the NBA draft, and he was the point guard, and he also was a scorer for them as well. Is that something that is even something that you're interested in being? Are you more comfortable being the two guard? Do you want to play a little point guard? Has that even been brought up at all?
I definitely, want to play a little bit of one, bring the ball up. James, he was a great player. He's able to get his teammates involved, but also, score the ball. And then, as for myself, I'm known to score, but I feel like, my passing ability is a little bit underrated. So I definitely feel like I can make great decisions, at the point guard, get my teammates a spot. At the end of the day, I want to, feed all the love. I think I heard Coach Drew say, share the sugar, as he says. So I just feel like, I'm able to be that type of player that's able to, move the ball, get my teammates in spots, pass up good shots, great shots for sure.
McDonald's All-American, McDonald's event, Jordan Brand, all of this. How do you stay humble?
There's knowing, where I came from. I wasn't known at first, and then, getting all, these accolades is a blessing, but at the same time, I just want to stay true to myself, just know what got me here, not try to change, anything that I've been doing, because it's got me to, it's got me to my highest level so far. So I just want to stay true to myself, stay true to the grind. And then I have a lot of people in my ear telling me that, nobody cares, you can do more. So, that just keeps pushing me each and every day.
And guess what? They want you on campus now. I know you got to wait. You got things to do. It's exciting to get Baylor back to where they want to be. Is that exciting to think about the future?
It's real exciting. I've been ready to get on campus. They have a, championship culture there. I just want to, keep that going, add on to that. I definitely want to bring, another championship back to Waco for sure.
Keontae, thanks for your time. Good luck today with your game and also going forward. Look forward to meeting you.
All right, thank you.
Keontae George, Baylor signee, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Because he knows everything, Scotty B, right? The Baylor King, Keontae George, we would rather you not leave us, but he's playing right now on ESPNU, IMG Academy, in the game that Keontae told me that he had this afternoon. That's why we recorded the interview earlier. When we come back, a couple other notes we'll get to, including a thought from Yankees general manager Brian Cashman that's got to make Astros fans really happy. That and more, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. And right now, Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. $9.99. Enjoy a large pepperoni magnifico. Pepperoni, two different type of pepperoni. There's not a space on that pizza where you don't see a pepperoni. A piece, a slice, whatever you want to call it. Order now. Use the code PEPMAG. Also, unlimited medium. One topping pizzas for $7.99 each. Order right now. Also, order extra. Call it in for an encore, and they'll take care of it for you. They'll deliver. You can pick it up, whatever you want. Also, unlimited large two-topping pizzas for $8.99 each. They have what you want when it comes to pizza. Of course, Marco's Pizza, one of the fastest-growing pizza companies in America. And here in Waco, they've gone from 1 to 2, now to almost 5 stores in a very short amount of time with the owner, Bob Mock. Locations in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, Robinson, and about to open up in Hewitt. It's Marco's Pizza. Go to marcos.com for information to order what you want. Pickup or delivery. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
thought this was an incredibly interesting story. If you follow Major League Baseball, Paul, the Red Sox fan that he is, Craig and I both love the Rangers, even with all of what they've been through. But the Yankees, Brian Cashman's taken a lot of heat. The Yankees have not been to a World Series. And it's hard for me to imagine this as well, but since 2009, and one of the reasons the Red Sox took over the East, and then there's other teams that have had their runs as well. Brian Cashman, in an interview in The Athletic, said that he disputes the notion the Yankees are in a prolonged title skid. 1 year is too much for Yankees fans, and cited the 2017 team that lost in the ALCS to the Astros, who were eventually sanctioned by Major League Baseball for illicitly stealing opposing team signs. The only thing that stopped the 17 Yankees was something that was so illegal and horrific. So I get offended when I start hearing we haven't been to a World Series since 2009, but I'm like, well, I think we actually did it the right way.
All right, so when the letter gets released that has evidence that the Yankees did it too, is he going to be offended then?
I doubt it.
I mean, because that was a news story a couple weeks ago, and look, they can deny it all they want, but it's going to be out there, and people will think that. Okay, so 2017 you didn't make the World Series, but there's 13 other seasons in there that you haven't. So, okay, so you haven't been legitimately stopped by a team in 4 years. You're still not. I mean, Yankees fans don't want 20-year droughts, 10-year droughts, 13-year droughts. They don't want 5-year droughts. Like you said, 1 year is too long. They haven't been there. And the thing is, most of the time when they get to the playoffs, they look at a team that's good enough to get to the playoffs, but not one that's good enough to win the World Series. So, they're very much like the Cowboys in that regard, in that, yeah, they can get to the playoffs, but after that, they're not built for that. And he hasn't built a team like that in a very long time. So, yeah, Yankees fans can be mad at him. And, yeah, 2017 was a crappy year for everybody who lost to the Astros, but it was what it was.
It's also 5 years ago now at this point. So, even if the investigation and all of that came out a little bit after that, we're still talking about him harping on something that was 3 or 4 years old as an excuse for why they didn't do something at some point in time. So, if I was a Yankees fan, maybe I would hate the Astros. I don't know. I'm kind of over all of that at this point. They've gone and won a lot of games since that story broke and done it pretty much the exact same way. So, I think maybe some people put far too much on their success and that whole deal, as opposed to, just the fact that they were a pretty good team to begin with. And the cheating wasn't cool, but, they're also, the Yankees have been talked about as having been involved in things, and there's been other franchises as well. So, it sounds like a bit of an excuse at this point, to be perfectly honest with you, just from an outsider's perspective. I get it. I get where he's coming from with the whole Astros thing, but, that was a 2017 team you're talking about, and we're about to kick off the 2022 season. So, seems like also not only, a legitimate gripe, but now it's starting to seem like more of just a convenient excuse when things don't go well. But but if the Astros wouldn't have cheated, we would have, was that going to be your answer for every year that the World Series draft continues? Well, when we look up in 2025, they haven't been to the World Series in however many years. But we would have been if the Astros wouldn't.
Doesn't mean they would have won the series with the Dodgers
either.
No,
it doesn't. Yeah. No, absolutely not.
One of the other things, and this is when Twitter can be awful, there's no question about it, but also can be very, kind of give you some perspective. Brian Cashman was the general manager of the 2000 Yankees, a team that had 8 players on their World Series roster who were later tied to PED use.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've got their fair share, no doubt about it. So, for anybody to talk about cheating or bending rules or breaking rules or whatever, he's kind of, looking in the mirror when he says some of that.
Okay. It's also the Yankees. The Yankees don't make excuses. That means you used to be a prideful organization, and they have this amazing history of nearly 30 or whatever, 27, 28, 29 world championships, whatever the number is, I've lost track. But if you're the Yankees, you don't claim fake crap. That's what college football programs do. That's when they don't use the Associated Press or what was the UPI or what is now the championship, college football championship. That's when you pull out one that's maybe the New York Times and you add that to the list of national championships when that wasn't one.
Okay. The UPI 1926 national champion. They're not doing any of that.
Okay, since 2009, they've only not been in the playoffs 3 seasons, and they've lost in the ALCS of those times they lost in 2010 to the Rangers. In 2012, they got swept by the Tigers. And in 2019, they lost to the Astros again, and the Astros they'd already been caught at that point. So what's your, I mean,
when it comes to the Astros in particular, and any talk about, sign stealing or whatever, like that wasn't all just pitching that brought them down. Like they could not hit in that series that he's talking about. So, it's not it helped the Astros to what extent we don't know, but it wasn't like it affected the entire team that you rolled out there to where they had the sign so the Yankees can't pitch well and they can't hit well and they it affected maybe an element of the game, but not being able to hit the baseball has nothing to do with the Astros. It was their offense that was benefiting from the trash cans, not their pitching, but
because if you look at, and that's a great point, if you look at the Dodger series, the Dodgers knocked the Astros pitching staff around pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you can't knock somebody around really good when you score 8 runs and they're going to score 14 because they know what pitch is coming.
Right.
All of that true. The Yankees are not a franchise that should ever lower themselves, no matter what the drought might be, to what ifs. That's just not what they do. The Lakers shouldn't do that. The Celtics shouldn't do that, even though it's been a long time for them. There are certain franchises, and then how about this from Daniel? Daniel's a Cowboys fan. The Yankees, the University of Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes. I mean, they live all in the same realm of, the jersey means more than they're actually accomplishing.
The value of the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't win a playoff game. Yeah, but you know what we did do? We have now we are the most valued NFL franchise in America.
And just imagine what you'd be worth if you won some
You
stuff.
were 5-7, yes, but we generate more revenue than any college program in America.
I always love when fans use that as trash talk, and I always say, like, what does it do for you, though? Like, I mean, you're not counting those bills. Like, I just think it's kind of silly to brag about how much money some entity is making that, maybe you're loosely tied to as an alum, and maybe you're a big money donor. If you're a big money donor, you're donating millions, then by all means, brag about it. But, Joe Blow, who has not contributed a penny, bragging about we're number one and most it's like, why are we, what is that? Who cares? Like, I mean, who cares about that? But yeah, it's like every year on like clockwork. Dallas Cowboys, most valuable NFL franchise. Yankees, most valuable, it's the same
most
teams
merchandise sale.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, that's great. But, ultimately, fans don't care about how many jerseys you're selling. You're worried about how many championships you're winning. So, yeah, Cashman said something stupid. I think most Yankees fans have, responded in kind and are, treating it like an excuse. And even if he has some semblance of a point, which I think he does have some point, we're talking a 13-year stretch. We're not talking about a 3 or 4 year stretch and, half of that was the Astros cheating or whatever. We're talking about over a decade. So that excuse runs a little thin. Maybe convenient for the last few years, but not for 10 plus years ago when this actually started.
Well, and it wasn't also like they haven't made it or that, they've made it in the playoffs and a bunch of different teams have beat them. The freaking Tigers swept them, man.
Yeah.
The Tigers.
Wisconsin sophomore Johnny Davis, the latest big name in college basketball to enter the 2022 NBA draft, forego his remaining college eligibility, hiring an agent. So that's another name. Yesterday it was Kendall Brown, and also the kind of a surprise with James Akinjo. And today we mentioned now Johnny Davis, who was up for the Player of the Year in college basketball, got injured, but I watched him. He is smooth as silk, man. But he now will be leaving. He's a sophomore guard from Wisconsin. What are the franchises now that used to be, that use other default mechanisms for not winning championships, or used to be, who just are a part of that, but? You mentioned, and here's the thing. Just saw this note about Milwaukee, the defending NBA champions. They got Giannis and all that. They got a hell of a team. They're right there in the mix of the number 1 seed in the East again. And yet LeBron and the Lakers dominate almost every sports center, every highlight reel, his thoughts about whether he's playing, and they're barely going to make the playoffs if, in fact, they do.
Yeah, they won in the bubble a couple years ago, though, so they have a little buffer zone before people can really start criticizing the Lakers. The Lakers have been better at finding a way to scramble together a championship and keep their names out of that Yankees, Cowboys, UT thing. But, look, in hockey, I mean, the New York Rangers, the Toronto Maple Leafs,
the Canadiens, that's what
the Canadiens, like all of them haven't won in forever. The Canadiens were there a couple years ago and lost. But
in fact, Daniel, hey, don't forget, you can have the Lakers, but you mentioned that 2 years ago when they had David, who'd they have? LeBron, and who else was the kid, the big tall?
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis, yeah, I said Davis. You could have the Lakers and the Canadian hockey team. You're right. Canadians, a hockey team. Scotty said Alabama. No, Alabama's winning.
They win.
I mean, they're winning. Notre Dame, they've been in the playoff. That kind of keeps, but
that's the Cowboys have been in the playoffs. The Yankees have been in the playoffs. Yeah, Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame has been better than Texas has over the last decade by a long shot. But even still, I mean, the result is the same. They haven't hoisted a national championship trophy since 1988 in South Bend. So.
This is
Lou Holtz was the head coach.
This is not the exact same. It's a lot less time than that, but not by much. Oklahoma hasn't won a title since 2000. I mean, we're talking 22 years now since they last won a title, and they played in multiple championships after that, which we've gone over multiple times. The LSU game, and then there was the USC game, and then there was the playoff disappointments, and I'm probably even missing one in there somewhere. Who else did they lose to? Florida. They lost to them in a championship game. So yeah. I mean, they've been good. They've won the conference, like the Yankees winning the AL East or the Cowboys winning the NFC East. They've gotten to the playoffs. But, as far as winning a championship, yeah, that's a team who's right there, and that's probably that second tier of all-time national titles that has not added one in quite some time, and seen others, either catch up or I think in Ohio State's case, pass them in overall titles. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard to win a championship. Going back to the Yankees, I think most fans, again, think that it's just excuses, and we'll see what they do this year. But there are some expectations building and some pressure on Brian Cashman to go grab a trophy.
Our friend Jeff Goodman Sports on Twitter, Goodman Hoops, on Twitter. Dan Gavitt, who's the basketball committee chairman, 71,500 people. The Final Four is sold out. Not a surprise with the teams that are there, or even surprised because it's the Final Four in New Orleans. And then this one, a zinger from Goodman. You had Jay Wright, Bill Self, Hubert Davis, and Mike Krzyzewski on the podium, followed by Mark Emmert. Didn't exactly save the best for last.
No, why would you not just put Mark Emmert up there first?
Why not tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe, why not him at 10 o'clock in the morning, the other guys come along back to back.
Why not tomorrow? Because if you don't have any press conferences tomorrow and you just throw up Mark Emmert, then there's going to be kind of a odds and evens, ink-a-dink battle between people who are going to show up at that thing. And instead of 15 to 25 reporters being there, it'd be about 3.
Here's the thing about, what he was asked about. He was asked about Congress getting involved. Mm-hmm. He was asked about NIL. He was probably, I don't know if anyone asked him about this or not, if they actually told him, hey, why don't you talk about those schools that have not yet been hammered by the NCAA because they don't even have a hammer anymore. So, I don't know. It's to each his own. But that Mark Emmert, it's probably not an easy job, but he sure has at times you wish he would do more than what he has done. Also, Kim Mulkey, LSU women's basketball coach, was named the Associated Press Women's Basketball Coach of the Year. Our friend Mike Scarborough had given us about an hour or so ago. She was named the AP Coach of the Year for her job and role in what she's done at LSU.
Yeah, good for her. Yeah. I mean, they had a great turnaround, and they had, good crowds and a lot of excitement that they didn't have prior to her arrival. I think you kind of saw that shock in a good way for the LSU fans when she got there, and you could see her energy on the sidelines and all of that. I think that they really embraced that. And, of course, there's the whole Louisiana angle to begin with, so, she can do no wrong anyways because she's from Louisiana, so she's kind of bulletproof. But, no, they embraced her, and their team had a great turnaround, and I'm sure she'll probably hit that transfer portal and they'll be, a team to contend with the South Carolinas and, hopefully the Baylors and all the, the UConns and all the same kind of teams, plus a couple other, new faces that have entered the mix as well. But yeah, she had a great year, and best of luck to her moving forward.
All right, when we come back, we've got a busy 4 o'clock hour. Max Olson, college football writer, theathletic.com. Bob Herrig, his thoughts and Tiger at Augusta earlier this week. Mickey Spagnola on the Cowboys, and Craig's off the radar. Raleigh Tejada, former Baylor cornerback, who kind of got overshadowed. Craig mentioned this in his article, the last few games, with all of the bright stars and All-Americans and much more, and other players that started to play more and make plays as well. He'll join us live on Zoom at 5:15. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Since 1943, they have delivered product, metal, pipe, and steel. They have delivered customer service, and they're building a brand new facility in Waco that will make them bigger, better, faster, and stronger. And the one thing when I asked Braden about this, Braden Embry, I said, so you're building this, right? And obviously you have more space in it. The number one reason, one, they can, but also one of the other reasons is because it allows them to have even more product and have even better efficiency when it comes to distribution to reach more customers and make it get to where it needs to be faster. They will deliver, they will unload. We're talking heavy product, pipe, steel, and metal. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan. And if you want, they're open on Saturdays if you can't get to them on throughout the week, Monday through Friday. Since 1943, that says it all. PioneerBoys.com.
At Allen Samuels, come see the Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 with 2.9% for 72 months, plus $1,500 in bonus cash. For all first responders, get an extra $500. Shop this incredible vehicle that gives you performance, style, perfect for your family, and reliability your family deserves today from Allen Samuels in Waco. Come shop our huge inventory at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strip, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full-service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Kenjo, good feed, and there is Tamba.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Speaking of boozers, by the way, I have a Michael Kors watch. Jennifer had got me for Christmas one year, and the face broke. And I took it over to Boozers. They're fixing that up right now. They do, as he said, watch repair as well. Max Olson, senior writer, covers college football for theathletic.com, joins us, Sikkim 365 Radio. Max, I saw the note that just was popped up about the Big 12 14-team league and when it becomes that and what do they do and what divisions. What do you think they'll do? What would you like to see them do?
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma here. From my reporting and talking with several ADs, the sense is that when they have their Phoenix meetings, May 2 through 4 here coming up about a month from now, that is going to be the chance when all those ADs, including the 4 new members, all get in a room along with all the football coaches. And I think that they want to come out of those Phoenix meetings with a clear idea of what the divisional plan is going to be for next year, which, is really, in terms of those new members coming in, we're really only 15 months away. So it is time. I know people may find it hard to believe that they're actually going to go through with this, a 14-team league next year, but you got to start planning for it. And, right now there's a lot of issues that come with that topic. What do you do with Texas and Oklahoma? Do you put them in separate divisions or the same one? Do you even need divisions? And can you get the NCAA to change a rule that kind of requires you to have divisions to play a conference title game? A lot to work out there. And they were presented with 3 models, when they met as among ADs in Kansas City during the Big 12 basketball tournaments, and not a consensus right now on which one's the best way to go, or even if they need divisions.
Could they maybe make some sort of agreement with the Big Ten and the SEC that also have massive leagues and say hey, can we figure this out so that we can all have the flexibility to do what we feel is best within our league?
Talking about a super league, or are you talking about
just
an
talking
alliance?
about some sort of, just an agreement that hey, let's present this to the board all together, the rules committee, so that they say, okay, well, it's not just the Big 12, it's these 3 that would like to change this rule, and it can affect everybody.
Yeah, from what I've heard, that there is a sense that there's leadership in the ACC that also is interested in changing that rule, which right now, the requirement is that you either have divisions and the winner of your division is playing a conference title game, or you did what the Big 12 has done for the last 5 years, and you play full round-robin schedules. And obviously for this new Big 12, that's not going to be the case going forward here either way. So, you can't do the 9-game round-robin anymore, so they would need divisions. It's possible they can get that changed. It's a very outdated rule that goes back to the 80s. But, I'd be curious to see. It is possible that the Big 12 leadership could come out of those meetings in May and decide, we can't agree on a model, and maybe we think we just shouldn't have divisions, which, as long as you can work out fair schedules kind of across the board for people, which in a 14-team league, you would Obviously, you got to preserve, the important rivalries and things like that. But I suppose they could get through it without divisions. And look, one of the things the Big 12 has going for them is, having the 1 versus 2 in the conference title game, and that being your best foot forward in terms of playoff hopes.
Max, a couple of weeks ago, I noticed a website, Navigate, had put out these projections on the future conference payouts for the Power Fives, and your colleague, Nicole Auerbach, I guess saw that as well, and she wrote an article kind of detailing some of the information that was in there, and it paints a very daunting picture for everybody not in one of 2 leagues, really, the Big Ten and the SEC, who not only look like they'll just absolutely dwarf, but in some cases double or triple up on what other conferences are making, the power conferences, much less the others. Where are we headed, do you think, with all of this? Because that just seems like a disparity for 2 conferences in particular that's just going to be hard to imagine college football kind of being what it has been, or is it basically what it has been this entire time?
No, yeah, you're right. We're talking about a situation where the SEC and the Big Ten, in terms of their revenue, just pull far away from everybody else. And I'm sure that concept gets Greg Sankey thinking about the real long-term future here. And can we kind of split off from this if we're the ones that are just in a different class here? And so. It drives home the point that, certainly I know no one's expecting that the Big 12 make as much money as the SEC in the future, but it is very important to still be on the same level as the Pac-12 and the ACC. And that's where, the negotiations in a few years on the new TV deal and trying to get to a place where you feel like the revenue distributions to your members is really, is what they need in terms of maintaining the current level. I think that's so important. But clearly, you look on the horizon and you see those 2 leagues are heading in a totally different direction. And, it's hard not to assume that that's going to, affect the sport in a lot of ways.
Max, Congress has a couple of different bipartisan bills in front of it in the House and the Senate that would reform NCAA investigations. Do you think that they can actually get that done, since the NCAA is essentially throwing up its hands and is begging the government to figure out their issues for them?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's hard to know if that's just wishful thinking or if there's a possibility there that we could kind of go in that direction. But clearly, clearly Mark Emmert is not doing great in his hopes that that the politicians can solve all of his problems for him, and that's one where I thought that really cracking down on how ridiculous the investigation process is a reasonable topic to bring up and to figure out in which ways can we start to expedite this process, because the longer this drags on, there's really no, like, in no way are you discouraging other people from cheating if there is truly no repercussions in the short term for anything people do.
Max, Arch Manning has become, or has been for a while now, a very hot topic. I know Texas is heavy on him, and I guess Ole Miss and amongst others. Just how crazy do you think the circus is for Arch Manning? And I haven't had an opportunity to really see much of him. I mean, what kind of a prospect? Obviously a 5-star, but what kind of a prospect are we talking about here?
Yeah, it seems like this race for Arch is heating up here, and honestly, and kind of narrowing down too, where it does seem like the big contenders here appear to be Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, and that it also makes sense that at some point not only does he have to make a decision, but those schools have to make decisions, because they at some point, if you're not going to get Arch Manning, you got to move on and get somebody else, and so. Interested to see what the timetable is going to be for his choice there. But, it's a very interesting quarterback class, because there's 3 really talented players. There's Nico, who's going to Tennessee. There's Malachi Nelson, who's currently committed to Tennessee and USC. And then there's Arch. And I think the name itself obviously carries a lot of weight. I think that the thing that if for example, if Texas wins Arch Manning, obviously, there's going to be the question of what do you do with him and Quinn Ewers. But if you get Arch Manning in your class, you're going to have a lot of big-time recruits coming with him, because kids want to play with this guy. And so whoever wins out on Arch Manning, it's going to be a huge deal in terms of being able to compete for a top 3 or even a number 1 recruiting class.
You did tease. Sam Kahn has an article on theathletic.com about Rhett Lashley and how he took over a program at SMU that was almost not completely barren in their recruiting department, but it was like that picture, I used the name Will Smith, when he looks around in a house and nobody else is around. I'm glad you did that. It's a very intriguing piece from Sam Kahn in case anyone has not read it if you're a member of theathletic.com.
Yeah, it's such an interesting time now where obviously the situation at SMU and TCU was pretty unique for that staff to go across town there and go take over the rival. But Rhett Lashley, who I think has a chance to be pretty successful there at SMU, he detailed how he was able to build a recruiting staff from scratch, and obviously nowadays, if you read that piece by Sam, it's a really good one. I definitely encourage it. You get a real sense here of where we're at with the arms race here in recruiting staffing, and why there's these personnel departments have blown up so much, because they're a lot of that is kind of it's kind of off the plate of the assistant coaches a little bit more and onto the plate of these people who help run this recruiting operation. And there's just so much that goes into it with the portal and with setting up visits and the social media aspect of it and all that stuff. The recruiting is so complicated these days, and I thought it was a great piece that laid out all the different roles that you need to have in a recruiting department to keep up with everybody else these days.
Max, the transfer portal will get kind of refilled here after spring football starts to conclude, and already some guys jumping in. Is any surprises so far early on in spring of guys jumping in? I know the West Virginia defensive lineman was a shock to Neil Brown.
Yeah, certainly that was big news today that Akeem Messidor, that they're one of their best players overall in their whole team, decided to go into the portal and seek out something else. Now he's one of those guys that you would think a year from now is going to be entering the draft. And we put him on our freshman All-American team in 2020. Very talented defensive lineman, one of the best in the conference. And that's one of those where West Virginia's had a lot of attrition this offseason. Some of that not very surprising. Some of it guys looking for more playing time, that kind of stuff. But truly, Messidor is one of the best players in the conference, I think, coming back. And there was no sign this was coming from Neil Brown and his coaches, and just kind of happened over the course of 24, 48 hours. And certainly, I think it's very frustrating. And he pointed to, certainly there's stuff going on right now where you can look at attrition and say, wow, the staff must be doing something wrong, or they got a culture problem or whatever. But I think this is probably one of those cases where this is a guy that probably was looking at the landscape and has people in his ear telling him you can make more money going somewhere else. And so I'm fascinated to see if he ends up on a SEC roster or something like that. If he can, be that kind of player at that level. But this is a really hard thing for these coaches right now, as this tampering is going on, and it's hard to convince a kid to stay if they feel like, as much as they're in a good position, maybe they can make more money somewhere else.
Max, can Nebraska lure O'Shawn Mathis to Scott Frost's group? Or, I know there's other contenders as well. Kind of how's that shaping up the race for one of the top transfers out there?
Yeah, well, speaking of trying to lure people with money, Nebraska is getting O'Shawn Mathis in for a visit for their spring game next weekend. And, I think that I know a lot of people have assumed that Texas is the front runner there, that he'd go follow Gary Patterson to Austin. And, it's been kind of a quiet recruitment up to this point. But, yeah, he put that out there yesterday. He's going to go visit Lincoln. And, look, I think what we're seeing right now within the last couple of weeks, Casey Thompson has said not only that there's more NIL money to be made at Nebraska than Texas, which I know got O'Shawn Mathis' attention, but he even floated out there, and I'm not sure I buy it, but he floated out there that, if you're a starter at Nebraska, you can make six figures. And so I think what we're seeing over the past month is there's a lot of kids that are a little more interested in visiting Nebraska and finding out what's going on there and what are the opportunities there, what can I make as a player there. And it's giving them a chance with some players like Mathis who would make a big difference. And, that's just where recruiting's going these days.
I don't know if is Warren Buffett floating out NIL money. It doesn't seem like he's that
if
kind of...
If he's not, he damn sure needs to be.
Is that kind of irresponsible investor?
Needs to be.
I think Warren Buffett probably would look at that whole, this whole landscape in college football and say, probably not a lot of ROI on that for me. I don't know if that's good for me, but, I think that certainly Nebraska is one of those places where, because it's the only game in town for the whole, for the whole state. It's the thing that everybody cares about. That's one of those fan bases where you can rally the business folks and kind of get people on board with, doing these collective type things to really take care of players.
Man, I know it's part of what the reality is of today, but man, there just seems to be a lot of grease.
Well, the Mesidor thing, it just feels icky. It does. Like, I mean, that's a total blow to West Virginia. That, like you said, was completely out of nowhere. That just feels so rotten to me. And, I'm all for Max, these guys getting opportunities. I really am. But, I mean, that one, that feels a little, bad.
Yeah.
It is, and I don't know. We'll see if they can put up a fight and try and convince him to stay and convince him that that's a better situation to stay. But also, as you guys know, sometimes now, when that kid has made a decision, it may mean he's already kind of locked in for the next place.
Mm-hmm. Max, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it as always. Max Olson, senior college football writer for theathletic.com. And, again, a site that's got so much information. And there's also a big story, that Ari Wasserman story about Arch Manning, who is the son of Cooper Manning. Not
Cooper.
Cooper. Yeah, not Eli or Peyton. Cooper.
No,
Man,
not Cooper. Cooper.
When we come back, Bob Herrig, ESPN writer, covers the golf PGA Tour. Tiger was at Augusta earlier this week, and was that just to tease everybody, or is that realistic? And, of course, no Phil Mickelson when it comes up, the Masters next week, among other ideas and stories on the tour. Bryson DeChambeau is back after missing some time. And Scotty Scheffler, Armstrong's buddy, is dominating and now number one in the world. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they are celebrating a big anniversary over at Richard Carr. They're also celebrating the regular arrival of new cars and trucks. It's been a bit difficult to try and find cars these days, the microchip problems that have been going on, but Richard Carr is still rolling out new vehicles on the regular, and one way to definitely get into a new vehicle quicker or as quickly as possible is to get on their inbound vehicle list. That's right, the inbound vehicle list. You sign up for that. You can do that by going by the dealership or going by or giving them a phone call, I should say, and they will get you on that inbound vehicle list, and as soon as the car that you're looking for, the truck you're looking for arrives, it's yours, and you can get in it and roll out to that vacation or back to the driveway at home or whatever the case may be. But lots of options for you, both new and pre-owned. 23 years, the anniversary they're celebrating right now, Richard Carr. In those 23 years, they've sold the best cars and trucks on the road, and they've offered first-class vehicles that you can trust. They want to thank Waco and Central Texas for their support over the years and look forward to many more to come. So if you get on that inbound vehicle list, what you're looking at is some new GMC trucks, new GMC Buick and Cadillac SUVs. They're arriving each week for qualified buyers. You can buy a truck now, get 0% financing for 72 months on most GMC vehicles and Buick SUVs. Richard Carr is also a one-stop shop to find that perfect SUV for your needs. 11 different models with dozens of trim options. SUVs starting right now at $24K. Call now, go by the dealership now, or go online to find that perfect SUV. And they are loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. Over 10 lenders who will do what it takes to get you in a car today. And all of those vehicles go through a 172-point inspection before arriving on the lot. 100% credit approval is always their goal. So celebrate the big anniversary with Richard Carr this month. Trust the good local people you can count on for 23 years in Central Texas. Proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months, and it's a happy experience. It's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10 every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you can fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
Mickey will join us in the next segment. We're now joined by ESPN, by Bob Herrig, SI.com, PGA Tour senior writer on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Bob, thank you very much for your time. How much did Tiger's appearance earlier this week at Augusta National rattle a few cages and bring some excitement about what might be?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, isn't it? It had kind of the golf world buzzing, and I find it really wild that his plane was being tracked, and his private plane, and that somebody was actually doing play-by-play on Twitter of the takeoff and the flight and the landing in Augusta, and that's the level that this got to. And then obviously we learned that he obviously did then go to the course. His son Charlie had joined him. He played a practice round. We've not heard any details. But I think the big detail we'd love to hear is how is the leg? How is the foot and the ankle? Because that's ultimately what's going to be the criteria for going forward. I can't imagine he would have done this if he didn't feel that the rest of it's okay. Like, he must feel his game's okay. It's more just testing it out. Can I do this? Can I walk 18 holes, then do it again the next day and again and again? Because that's the thing that's holding him back, and that's what we're all wondering about.
What do you think the response would be like if he actually does play and play all 4 days? I mean, I don't think anybody would think he could probably roll out there and win with not playing competitively for so long, but he knows Augusta really well, and one would think that if he played, he could do well enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you sort of hope that he lowers expectations because it's a lot to ask. I mean, even without the issues with his leg, he's not competed for 17 months since the 2020 Masters, which was played in November. Yes, he played twice with his son in that father-son exhibition, which is a golf cart and a scramble and nothing near the same thing. And obviously he's probably been playing at home some and trying to ramp up his game, but there's just no way to simulate what you're going to go through trying to play a tournament with thousands of spectators, even for him. So, he can get it around there. As you said, he knows the course. I just think it's more of a physical issue at this point. Can he actually do what's necessary to complete the rounds and feel good enough about, doing it the next day? You got to warm up. You got to practice. You're on there. You're on the course for 5+ hours, standing on your feet the whole day. It's all of that that's really more of the issue, I think, than his game. And then, his game, you would think there's going to be some rust. It's hard to just find the magic, even for him. So, but to me, to be honest, the victory would be just teeing off and getting out there and playing the first round and then playing the second round. And if he makes the cut, great. I think just getting there is the story and how incredible that would be given all he's been through.
And the way that course is set up, the way those greens, and I've been fortunate enough to be there, you have to be almost laser-like precision. Is that the one course, Bob, in the world where someone's knowledge of a course might mean more than anywhere else?
No question. I mean, Augusta, maybe St. Andrews to some degree, the old course. But yeah, having course knowledge. I mean, it's the reason why some older guys, older players have had success. I mean, obviously Nicklaus is the oldest at 46, but we've seen guys into their 40s and 50s. I mean, Fred Couples in his 50s was on the leaderboard several times. So was Jack at that age. If Phil were playing, unfortunately, that Phil's not. But I mean, at age 51. He would still be a threat there. Course knowledge, where to miss it. It's wide open. You don't have to worry about gouging it out of thick rough. And yet the parts of Tiger's game that you still expect to be there, the great iron play, the sharp short game, those things are still there. And he can get away with not hitting it perfectly off the tee. And that's why, you sort of have that hope and glimmer that, that he could. I'm not saying win, but really do quite well. I think obviously hold himself in high esteem, given that what he's all been through.
How long do you think Phil's exile will last?
Well, I thought he'd be back at the Masters, to be honest. So I'm already wrong about that. I'm surprised it's gone this long. I mean, we're 5 weeks past when he made the apology, which I'll be honest, wasn't a full-throated apology. He didn't say anything about the PGA Tour, and there's a lot to digest there with what happened with him. But I'm a little bit surprised there hasn't been a way back for him yet from this. Ultimately, it was words. It was strong words, but it was words. Nothing happened. He did not join a rival golf league. He, to our knowledge, he hasn't committed any crime. I'm a little bit surprised that it's gotten to this level. I understand the angst and how people are upset with him, and obviously he was very critical of PGA Tour, which is surprising given that that's been his platform for 30 years, and that's where he's established his legacy. It's fair to say he was probably out of line with some of that. But at the same token, the guy just won the PGA Championship last year. He's a 3-time major winner, a Masters winner, 6-time major winner. And it's just really awkward, I think, at this point where we don't really know what's going on. The tour doesn't announce suspension. So, like, if he was suspended, would the Masters honor that? Did they ask him to not come? Is he doing this on his own? Like, all these things we don't know, and I'm not sure if we're ever going to know. And then the question will be, well, when does he return?
Mm-hmm. The Scotty Scheffler run, who's now the number 1 ranked player in the world. He won down in Austin. He's been on a tremendous run. Great young talent. In fact, our director, Armstrong Sims, a friend of Scotty Scheffler, the family friend as well. How much, I mean, you knew about what he could be. Is he doing this faster than even maybe you thought and others?
You know, it's funny how fast he's done it in such a compressed time. You know, he's been out on tour now a couple years and showed tons of promise and you know, was maybe taking a little while to get that first win. And then he gets it and he wins 2 more times in the next 6 weeks, you know, goes to number 1 in the world. I mean, and does it on incredibly, you know, a wide range of golf courses. Phoenix is, you know, fairly benign, you know, a lot of birdies, great weather. Then he goes to Bay Hill for the Arnold Palmer, where on the weekend, the course got really treacherous, very hard greens, windy, much different style of play. He won at 4 under. You know, that's a very high winning score at a regular tour event. And then he goes to a quirky golf course in Austin and wins at match play. Completely different format, you know. It showed some variety and it's just funny to think back, you know, he was the 12th guy on the Ryder Cup team, you know, just 6 months ago in September. 12th guy in the Ryder Cup team, and now he's number 1 in the world on the U.S. Ryder Cup team. He obviously had a great Ryder Cup. But I mean, it was not a given he was going to get picked. And here he is. I mean, it seems kind of funny now that was the case, and he set himself up to be on those teams for years to come.
Bryson DeChambeau is trying to come back. Bob Herrig, SI.com, golf columnist, writer as well, is struggling, of course, to try to get through the rehab and get back on the course. And is he going to have one of those years you think he struggles all year long, or will he get this thing back once he starts to play more rounds?
I think it all depends on his health. I mean, you know, he had a hip issue, which is that's certainly no bargain. And a broken bone in his hand that wasn't really disclosed until last week. Mm-hmm. And for a guy who thrives on power and hitting it hard, and look, it's his left hand, so that's the hand that hits the ground. You know, the lower hand. You know, that's where all the impact is and all the force. He's another one. I sort of think he's got to give himself a little bit of time. You know, he played the 3 rounds in Austin. He didn't make it out of the pool play. He's playing in San Antonio this weekend. It would be nice if he could make the cut and get a few rounds under his belt. He's struggled at the Masters the last few years when he's been on top of his game. So it'll be curious to see how he fares there without being at 100%. And I think we need to give him some time. You know, let him start to feel better and see where he is in a month or 6 weeks.
Bob, thank you. Appreciate it. I know there's a lot going on, and we appreciate your time for jumping on with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Bob Herrig, SI.com, senior golf analyst, writer, columnist for the PGA Tour, and, of course, his thoughts about this week. He's the one that I follow a lot of what he writes. He was, earlier this year, at ESPN, moved to SI.com as well. Hey, I just found the Twitter feed that's pretty interesting when I was Googling and looking up the hashtag with Tiger and Augusta National. It's at Eureka Earth Plus, which has pictures from way above. And looking at, in fact, it had pictures of Tiger walking across the bridge, Rays Creek, on, I think that might be number 12, 11, 13, whatever, what hole, I'm sorry, par 3 is 12? Is that right, Armstrong? Is it 12, 13?
Only we had a machine that we could look up.
Yeah, I know, but that's fine. We're now joined by Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, thanks for your time. I want to ask you about Bobby Wagner and the Rams. They just keep acquiring. Of course, at some point, there will be salary cap held coming. Were you surprised that's where he ended up?
Not really. I had read something that, you know, he had some sort of desire to stay on the West Coast. I think that's where he grew up, L.A. Is that right? I think I read that. So no, and the Cowboys weren't going to spend that kind of money on a 5-year deal for somebody that's 31 years old. That just wasn't going to happen. I think Steven kind of made that clear this week at the owners meeting. So no surprise that the Cowboys weren't involved in it, and probably no surprise that the Rams continue to do things like this to, their idea is win now and let's not worry about next year or the year after that.
Mickey, I mean, for Cowboys fans who have not grasped the organizational philosophy yet on free agents, what would you say the longest term deal that they would give out to a free agent would be?
Well, depends who it is and what position. I mean, that's they're not giving out a 5-year, $50 million deal to Von Miller, who was 33?
Yeah.
That ain't happening. So I think that, nothing's changed here in 10 years, at least the last 10 years in free agency. So I don't know why anybody's, but it happens every year, right? It's like that movie. It happens every springtime. Everybody gets upset, but nothing's changed. They've been very consistent how they've treated free agency. Try to re-sign your own. And I wish somebody would do a study on free agent contracts and see how many have been successful and how many they've had to end after a year or two. That it didn't work out, that you paid too much money for somebody that somebody else didn't want. I mean, there's reasons why it happens. I get it. Sometimes it's salary cap, but that means that the salary cap, what guys are getting paid, far exceed their production. I mean, that's sort of what happened this past year with La'el Collins, right? The Cowboys decided how he played and how Terrence Steele played weren't much different, except for Steele was making $1 million a year and he was going to make $10 million. So those things take place a lot of times when you sign these contracts like that. It's hard to get out of them, and you got to pay the piper.
Mickey, can you explain to me like I'm 5, because I kind of dense when it comes to the salary cap and how all of it works, but how does it seem like a team like the Rams or even maybe others in the past like the Chiefs are able to just continuously add on these superstar type players and deals? Like, is it just the working of the contract? How are they able to do that when other teams feel like, oh, we have no room to do really anything beyond a normal deal?
Yeah, and it depends on how many guys you're paying. Like, I think I figured out that, so it's a $208 million salary cap this year. If you take the Cowboys' top 10 players, that's $120 million. So now I've got less than $100 million for the other 43 players. Plus, think about this. Last year, it took the Cowboys 72 players on their 53-man roster to get through the season. So you got to pay those guys. That counts against your salary cap. And like last year when the contract for Von Miller, Denver paid most of it because they were more interested in getting draft choices than they were worrying about the money. They basically paid for draft choices. So there's different ways that the Rams have gotten around those types. I mean, they've already had to redo Stafford's contract, right? And so they have to extend that and pay upfront money. So yeah, there's everybody's cap situation is different. No teams are alike, and it's also, you're not just managing the cap for this year. When you sign a 5-year deal, you got to plan next year, the year after that, how much these things are going to cost. So yeah, it's pretty complicated, and it's not as easy as everybody thinks. And I'm going to give you one example. So the salary, the salary that Denver paid is contracted to pay Randy Gregory, which was basically the same as what the Cowboys were offering him. So now when he didn't sign with the Cowboys, everybody's like, well, it averaged $14 million, so they got $14 more million to spend this year. Well, no, because the way the contract was structured, he was only going to count $6 million in the first year, because you pay a guy signing bonus, right? And you pay him enough and then spread it over 5 years and you prorate the cost. And then you give him a very small base salary, sort of what Cleveland did with Deshaun Watson. His base salary in the first year was the minimum. So the Cowboys ended up with that $6 million that they didn't spend on Gregory, and basically signed 3 players, and those first year cap charges are 8.2. So it was almost a trade-off, but they didn't have 14 extra million to spend. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that people have to work through. Like today with Bobby Wagner, what was it, 5 years, $50 million?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to see what the guarantees are and when the guarantees run out. And then I'll tell you how much that contract's worth.
Mickey, let's just, this is kind of a hypothetical here, but say at 24, the Cowboys do pick an offensive lineman. Does it say more about what they feel about the position they take? Like, say they took Tyler Linderbaum, a center from Iowa, instead of Kenyon Green. Does that mean they're more concerned about Tyler Biadasz than left guard, or is it just one of those things that this guy's too good to pass up?
Well, I think you've got to look at, the quality of the player first and foremost. I don't think you start, drafting for need, and I just got to have a guard, right? That's why I think they'll wait here and maybe sign some veteran, kind of a Joe Looney type, to a 1 or 2 year deal for very little money, just so they don't have to say, "Gosh, I got to come away with a guard that can start for me." And that's kind of been their philosophy. For an offensive lineman, you say guard, center. What if I say defensive end? And in the scheme of a team, which position do you think's more valuable? A guard or a defensive end that can go get the quarterback?
Defensive end.
Yeah. Well, see, and so you can find an offensive lineman in the second round, third round. I mean, if you look at their needs, the unfortunate thing is they only have 1 first round pick. So you got to hit in the second and third. And to me, when you look at the difference between the positions I gave you, usually defensive ends that are of quality run out in the first round. And they'll certainly run out before a guard, the guard position runs out. So to me, you can find that guard in the second round. If you've done your homework and you pick the right guy, I don't know that you need a first round guard. So again, I think a lot of it has to do with the value of the position according to your team. And again, they can sit here and go, and I can't remember if who made the point. It might have been Steven. It might have been Jerry. It's like, you can go into the draft and say, okay, I need this, until your number comes up and Micah Parsons sitting there. And you go, oh, I'm taking Micah Parsons. Or, CeeDee Lamb is sitting there. That'll change your mind real quick. So now at 24, chances of that happening are slimmer. But again, you just never know what's going to, what your plan is, and then how it changes when you're on the clock.
Mickey, thank you, man. Appreciate you so much. We'll start focusing in more and more on what Paul asked about the draft and certain things as well. Next time we get you, we appreciate your time.
Sure thing.
That's Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. We'll have Craig's Off the Radar coming up next. Raleigh Tejada, former Baylor cornerback, will join us a little bit after 5 o'clock today as we continue until 6. Keontae George, who did join us earlier today on Sikkim 365 Radio. They're in that Geico, the high school nationals. They won to move into the next round. I think they're going to play the winner. I'll find out because that game's over. I think Mount Verde, which is, of course, one of the great programs in the country, might be playing them in the semifinal round tomorrow afternoon. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Today I had a dentist appointment, with Dr. Warren. It's oral surgery. And one of the reasons I finally just said I'm going to go and see what I can do with some of what I have that's wrong with my dental work is because of Dr. Steve Childress in Stonewood Dental. I've told you about him, his customer service, professionalism, and what he can do, and what he has done for me personally when it comes to a tooth that hurts, something that's cracked, and he has just found a way to fit me into his schedule, even once on a Friday evening, which was unbelievable because he helped me get rid or through some pain. Dr. Steve Childress is someone who recommended, hey, you need to go get this looked at, and Dr. Warren is who you need to see. And Dr. Steve Childress can do many things, whether it's regular checkups, regular cleaning, any kind of implants, or possibility of crowns and root canals, all the things that sometimes can scare the hell out of you, but it makes you smile better and makes you feel better about yourself. That's what he can do. That's what they can do at Stonewood Dental in Robinson.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Cars priced right both day and night. And Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full-service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
Welcome in Off the Radar here on Sikkim 365 Radio, taking a look at a variety of stories from around sports. And we will start off with a franchise that is as dysfunctional as it gets, but that 2/3 of the panel up here just so happen to root for. That's the Washington football team, or excuse me, the Washington Commanders. Now I'm getting used to saying football team after saying Redskins for so long, and now I'm going to have to get used to saying Commanders. But I might need to start getting used to saying a new team owner at some point in the near future. I would actually welcome that with open arms. But Dan Snyder is not going to budge if he doesn't have to. But maybe, just maybe, today's story is another push in that direction. The House Committee on Oversight and Reform, they are investigating the widespread sexual harassment claims that occurred within the Washington franchise under Dan Snyder. And they were already, on that subject and looking into that. And now they've got a little bit more on their plate, as they will now be looking into some alleged financial impropriety after a report from the Washington Post. Some allegations came to light in recent weeks while they've been reviewing the 80,000 plus documents. I don't know how they go through all these documents so fast. Like with the Baylor stuff, it was like 1 million plus documents, and they went over it in like 2 months. Like, I don't know how they get through all of that. But the investigators are now apparently exploring whether or not Snyder has been using 2 books of financial information that would create, a picture of what he wants people to think versus what the actual financial picture of the team is. So apparently he's been operating 2 books, and the investigators are looking into the debt load Snyder undertook when he bought out the rest of the Commanders' ownership. They're also looking into deceptive accounting practices and also allegations of gender pay disparity. The committee said they continue to investigate the hostile workplace and culture of impunity at the Washington Commanders, as well as the NFL's inadequate response and lack of transparency, and they'll follow the facts wherever they may lead. And the Commanders have already denied the investigation. They say they're not aware of any investigation regarding financial matters, despite vague and substantiated claims today by an anonymous source, and the team categorically denies any suggestion of financial impropriety of any kind at any time. So we will see. The sexual harassment stuff was already a lot on their plate, but if financial improprieties are now involved, that maybe could be the final death knell for Dan Snyder ownership in the NFL.
Well, I mean, that would kind of track with everything you know about the team and the way that they do things. Look, just a few months ago, we saw a very rinky-dink thing fall over at the stadium, which, I mean, that you see that happen at, high school fields and stuff like that, that the budget from the city hasn't been approved to fix their stands or whatever. You don't see that at the NFL level where, there should be no, I mean, even older NFL stadiums you go to and they're constantly refurbished and they don't have.
I knew those Super Bowl week was the brand new spanking clean that had an issue.
That stuff was pretty solid. It just looked janky, but it wasn't. But like, they don't have those issues. Then you go back to I'll just tell you personal stories that I know is when the Washington media comes to Dallas. They are so thrilled to get there because they don't have to wait in a concession stand line for a hot dog and a small soda because that's what Dan Snyder gives them. And so there's all these kind of different things that they do. And when you see a sports franchise that cuts corners like that, it would not surprise me that there's 2 sets of books.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with anything. Daniel Snyder, impropriety and running of the team. I really wouldn't be. Now, again, it's an allegation. It's not like, hey, this is absolutely true. You always have to be careful with that. But they are expanding their scope, apparently, even though Washington's like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So we'll see where it goes from there. And Mike Florio, I think he can be kind of hit or miss. I think sometimes he gets a little bit out over his skis, just my opinion. But he did say at one point that he's told for the first time ever there is a sense among ownership that the time may have come for Daniel Snyder to move on. And I think it's way past due, honestly. There's just too much other crap going on.
They can make this look like a win for Daniel Snyder in that all they need to do is find a buyer that will knock him over.
They can't make it look like a win. They cannot. It's too much. There's too much toxicity, whatever the word is, too much swirling to make it look good. If he sells the team, it was because he was forced to sell the team, period.
Yeah. One of the big news and notes that came out of yesterday, and I think you might have briefly mentioned it at the very beginning, but Bruce Arians retiring as head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles will be the new head coach in Tampa Bay, replacing Bruce Arians. This is after Tom Brady had announced, right when Selection Sunday was happening, that he was going to be making his way back. But he will now, Bruce Arians, that is, transition to a front office role. He is being named the senior football consultant, and again, Todd Bowles takes over as head coach. So kind of surprising and kind of out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if there was a lot of scuttlebutt before about him leaving, but I just figured with the Tom Brady news and all that, like, hey, Bruce Arians will be back, but no, it's going to be Todd Bowles. He was Arians' head coach of the Buccaneers for 8 seasons. He was also the interim for 12 games with the Indianapolis Colts during his career. So there's been a lot of talk. He's had like health issues and things like that over time. So I guess he felt like it was a good time to step away, but it was a bit surprising.
Yeah, he was hilarious in the press conference today. Very much sounded like a guy who was going to take one of those roles in the front office. That is,
I want that speech one day. Retirement speech, basically.
Just like, listen, I'll do what they ask, but I'll be fishing most of the time. Yeah. And that was but his goal was to get one of his guys in a good position, and I think he feels, look, Todd Bowles, it's probably not fair for Todd Bowles not to have a head coaching job, and not just based on the fact that, race and all the things that go into the Rooney Rule and all that may have followed Todd Bowles around. But what's following Todd Bowles around more than anything is he was the head coach of the Jets. They didn't win, and that's, cast a pall over his career. Well, now he's setting up Todd Bowles in a really good situation where Todd Bowles can be successful and win, and then people can see that the guy probably should be a head coach in this league. So I believe Bruce Arians when he says, look, it was just about getting the right succession plan in, and when Brady decided to come back, that really set up, Bruce for what he wanted to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought there was, I thought he was going to be out, and then, health reasons, whatever. I don't know the truth between Arians and Brady, but I do know, I saw an article I read earlier today that Brady even knew that this was most likely going to happen. It's like Rodgers knew Devontae Adams was going to be gone too, which initially you go, oh my God, what does Aaron Rodgers think, or what does Brady think? I think what he's doing is incredibly classy.
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's set it up on the table. Whether they win or not remains to be seen, but he's giving them a full deck.
Yeah, I think that would have been kind of a ridiculous business practices to welcome Tom Brady back, and then, oh yeah, by the way, Tom, we failed to mention the head coach is leaving. So you sure you still want? That would have been backwards. So, yeah, the guy that got that ironed out. Colin Kaepernick was on social media a little bit yesterday as he was visiting Michigan, and he was visiting his old 49ers head coach, Jim Harbaugh, as the Wolverines get geared up for their spring game. Of course, Kaepernick and Harbaugh took the 49ers to a Super Bowl back in 2012. He hadn't been in the league for going on 6 years now, still working out and doing all of that. But there was a picture that Michigan football put out. It was Cap and Harbaugh, and they had an honorary Michigan jersey with his name on the back, and then he took some pictures with some of the players as well. But he's going to apparently be holding a throwing exhibition at halftime of the Michigan spring game. So it'll be kind of part of the entertainment portion. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with that, but he's going to be holding a throwing exhibition, and he's also been named an honorary captain for the Maize and Blue spring game. So, Harbaugh in the beginning wasn't all on board, but I guess they've ironed out any differences they may have saw initially with what Kaepernick was doing and his protests and things like that, and he has supported him in the time since. So, just kind of cool to see them reunite, and that'll be a little addition to the Michigan spring game coming up, I believe, this weekend. Elsewhere, the Akeem Messidor thing was absolutely huge news. West Virginia losing him to the transfer portal. Very shocking. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in Neil Brown's office whenever that news came down, because they've already suffered immensely from the transfer portal subtractions. I think they were at one point maybe the team that was affected more than anybody else in the country. They were going on 20 guys in the transfer portal before spring ball even kicked off. But one of their best players, Akeem Messidor, entering the transfer portal, and according to West Virginia papers, Neil Brown said to be hurt and sad over the news. So
I would be too.
Yeah.
I would be too. And look, Neil Brown, the fact that all these people keep jumping in the transfer portal is not – it's not a good reflection on me as a coach, that people, the players don't have a lot, that makes you think the players don't have a lot of faith in him. And West Virginia's a place you can win. Lots of people have won there, and I say lots, but a few people have won there as a coach. So I mean, we've had a lot of West Virginia fans that chime in on the board and the chat room, and I don't think Neil Brown's all that popular. This certainly isn't going to help. So I would say his heat is pretty warm as the season gets underway.
And what really sucks is that it may not have anything to do with him. It might have just been like Cal called, or I know that's a random ass team there, Stanford, or if somebody called and just said, hey, what do you think about getting in the portal? And if you do, I mean, like, and is there anything barring that, really? I mean, I don't think so. So Akeem Messidor might have been all in on West Virginia, and then just somebody randomly calls him up and is like, hey, NIL money, baby, and you could just flip a guy like that. I don't know how it all went down, but, I mean, based on how shocked Neil Brown was by this, I mean, there was really no indication. So just part of the NIL era of college football that we're in. It can
happen on any time, any program, even the elite who might be spending or have the most money available. It's more than free agency in the NFL.
It's wide open. They have less restrictions than professional athletes. So I don't know what this little gimmick we're still playing around with is, but they have more freedom to move around than a professional athlete does, and I think that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm all for giving guys chances, but I mean, let's have like some semblance of like rules in place. This is stupid.
Well, I mean, look, there's tampering that goes on, to a high level. So how can you? I mean, like that's the biggest thing that you get under control is the tampering, and it's going to be hard to do.
That? How do you control it? I don't know how you do it.
I don't know, especially when all you've done so far is just throw your hands up and said, well, till legislation's passed from the government, like we can't do anything, and it's you guys don't do anything to begin with. So it's just, typical kind of NCAA. It's out of our hands. We'll just deal with it when we have to deal with it and go lose a court case at the end of it. That's basically the story of everything they've done here as of late. And then some NBA early entries. You mentioned sophomore Wisconsin star Johnny Davis has entered his name into the NBA draft. I've seen a few mock drafts where he is certainly looked at as a lottery pick. So no real surprise that he decided to go and apply his trade in the NBA. But he is officially now in the draft, adding to what should be a pretty loaded class. And Jaden Ivey, who I've seen in some mocks, is projected as the number 1 overall pick potentially. He announcing his entering into the NBA draft as well. So Purdue losing their star player to the pros, but I don't think that comes as much surprise either. And then Texas Tech with another departure, potentially guard Adonis Arms declares for the NBA draft. So Tech with another player after Terrence Shannon just about a week ago announced that he would be transferring. Now Adonis Arms has declared for the NBA draft. So there's 3 pretty good players who we're talking about quite a bit over the last few months that are all in, and certainly with Ivy and Davis, you'll see them go pretty quickly, I would imagine.
Ivy hit the dagger that put away Texas in that game in the NCAA tournament. He's smooth, looks like an NBA-style guy. And obviously Davis, we mentioned, he was Wisconsin's best player. I don't know who the number 1 pick is going to be. I know that Banchero from Duke, when I watched who he's been the last 2 or 3 games or 4 games, it seems like he is right now just surging. Not that he was surging because he was near the top, but it's going to be interesting. This will be a nice. But one thing about elite college players, that doesn't always translate to the NBA. No. It's not just like college football, but more so it seems like there's so few opportunities to play in the NBA, even if there's 15 or 20 really, really incredibly talented players, whatever year they are in college.
I mean, as far as the number 1 picks, I mean, you're looking at Banchero, you're looking at Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga, obviously. You're looking at Jaden Ivey, and you're looking at Jabari Smith of Auburn. Those are the guys I've seen most often mentioned for being the number 1 overall pick, and obviously a little bit of a way to go there. But, Jaden Ivey's in, and now he not a surprise doing that, but now he will definitely have a lot of watch as far as being that top guy that's taken. And let me see. Tonight we got Xavier and Texas A&M in the NIT. Yep. The NIT continues rolling on along, and of course, going to be the last time in Madison Square Garden for at least for the next couple of years, as we talked about in this segment a week or so ago. But Xavier and Texas A&M later on tonight, the NIT championship. So you can check that out. And I was trying to get the game time starting at 6 o'clock. So right as we wrap up here, you can check out Xavier and A&M from MSG over on ESPN. And those are a few things off the radar.
Thank you very much, Craig. By the way, if I see any of you on Twitter tonight, not that I'm going to be searching you out, that sits there and goes, yeah, but it's just the NIT. Baylor celebrated like a son of a you-know-what when they won the NIT because it gave them something to cling on to, and it helped get them to the next level. Texas, just, 2 years ago or so when they won it, they actually had a Twitter feed that said national champions, and they got roasted for it. But
rightfully so.
You celebrated it. And when you haven't done much, and A&M actually has had a few NCAA tournament wins in recent years, but, it's something.
But Buzz Williams is trying to build – something there. And if you can teach a team to win 5-6 games in a row, that's a big deal. And have to do it like that, it's good for developmental squads, people that are. And the other thing is, if you're an NIT champion, for Baylor, it also allowed them to go and say, like, hey, a couple of transfers. We just won the NIT. We could go even further if you came here.
It's extra practice.
It's not an empty win for A&M if they win tonight. That's actually a good win for them, and it's just something where you don't want to celebrate it again in 2 years. You win the NIT right now, and then you don't go back to the NIT, but maybe once in the next 6 or 7 years, and you barely do that at that. But, yeah, Buzz Williams is there to build something, and, I think a good building block would be an NIT title, so they'll have that opportunity later tonight.
You can put it's not the national championship, it's not the Final Four, but it used to be a bigger tournament than anywhere. It's not anymore, and it might be the last time they play it for a while at Madison Square Garden as well as they start to move that around.
Yeah, it is for at least a couple years.
When we come back, yesterday was pro day for Baylor, and a lot of players either improved their time or some did this or that based on what they had done at the Combine. Raleigh Tejada did not have the Combine. Raleigh Tejada was very loyal to what he did and stayed at Baylor throughout all of his time during various coaching changes, and he had a really good pro day. We'll have Raleigh Tejada join us via Zoom next on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Cigars, the best in the land, the best around the world as well, from Aston to CAO to Cohiba, Padron, and also Rocky Patel and Arturo Fuente, Christoph, Macanudo, Monte Cristo, My Father. These are great brands of cigars that are available inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor at Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans, Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. What they have also are CBD products, including gummies called Vita Dreams. I use them, and if you nibble on a gummy, you eventually kind of find out how much you can have a gummy. You can have half of one. You find out it allows you to fall asleep. I toss and turn a lot, and not anymore. I nibble on a gummy, and about an hour before I want to go to bed, and then I fall asleep very peacefully, very quietly, and comfortably, and then that's an extra 30, 45 minutes to an hour of sleep that otherwise I would not have. Now, there's some times when there's so much on your mind, it's just, that's just part of life. But these work, I can promise you that. And it's at Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ram Truck Month is here, and it's all about the championship drive as our hometown teams march towards another exciting championship drive. And so can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. Shop for power, performance, and reliability with the brands that bring you what you want to drive. Come in today and see our selection of new 2022 trucks, SUVs, and cars. It's time to take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco. Shop the huge inventory of new car and truck inventory in stock today.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
3rd and goal at the 8. Bohannon looking, he's got it! Touchdown, Taquan Thornton!
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We will get locked in with Raleigh Tejada, former Baylor cornerback, momentarily with the pro day that he had yesterday, along with many others from Baylor, with 31 of the 32 teams, 50 scouts overall involved in watching players do what they do, run, jump, leap, all that stuff, and even also with conversations along the way. And he had a heck of a day.
He had a good day. He had a good day. I don't think anybody really went from undrafted to solidly in the draft. I think Raleigh still has a lot of work to do, just being, brutally honest about it. He's going to be a long shot, but, if those numbers were indicative of his athleticism, and they are obviously, then I think you saw, and it was reaffirmed to people who have been watching him for the last 6 years at Baylor, that he's a great athlete, and he's a smart kid, and he's got a great personality, and there's a lot working in his favor. But I think something we lose sight of every year at this time is just how hard it is to get in the NFL.
Yeah,
we talk about these guys who are good players on the teams that we watch closely, oh yeah, he'll be, he's got a shot, and you realize really good players can barely hang on in the NFL, so it's just, I think we kind of get our hopes up sometimes of there'll be 7 or 8 guys, and when it's said and done, it might be 5, that really even then stick on and latch on in the NFL for a long time. But, I know he had an all-star kind of showcase thing that he went to. He didn't get the postseason invites to the all-star game. So yesterday was a big day for, show what he can do. And he's going to work as hard as anybody, and he's going to, do all the things that you ask him to do.
Well, one of the things I think that's pretty interesting about what happened yesterday is you saw scouts from the CFL, scouts from the XFL, and other leagues available there. Look, that's what's going to be available to Giancarlo Valentine. And for Raleigh Tejada, though, to run a 4.41, I would say that, if you're looking for a guy who's going to do what you ask him to do on a roster, that's he can boogie, and so that means he'll do what you need.
I think actually his 4.41 was moved to a 4.40.
Nice.
Officially as well. And speaking of which, Raleigh Tejada, former Baylor cornerback, 3-year starter, who was at the Pro Day, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports via the technology of Zoom. Raleigh, thanks for your time. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoak to my right, and David Smoak here. We appreciate your time. Did you when you got home, when you kind of got through all day yesterday, was there a sense of relief that at least you had a chance to make an argument for yourself?
Yeah. Hello?
Yep. There we go.
What's up? Hold on.
That's okay.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
How you doing?
We're doing great, Raleigh. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak. My question after you got through yesterday, after it was all over, because it's a big interview session in a lot of ways, did you feel kind of a sense of relief that at least you had a chance to make an argument for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. When I went 4-4-0, like my dad tweeted, and I just felt super confident, felt fast, strong, and felt great in the drills too. So I just felt like it was a great day.
When you didn't, I mean, again, you didn't have the combine and everything, so this was your showcase. How hard have you worked these last 3 months for what you did yesterday?
Super hard. I actually trained for about 2 months and like 2 weeks, and I just trained for the 40, trained for the testing that happened yesterday, and I felt super confident. I felt fast in the 40. Y'all see the 4.40 and felt good in the shuttle and the cone drill. I actually went 4.15 in the shuttle, and I feel like I made a great case for myself to be a draftable guy.
Raleigh, what was it like to be out on that field for perhaps, one of the final times? I mean, if you guys come back and work out, in off seasons and whatnot, that would be normal. But in terms of being a Baylor football player out on that practice field and that indoor field, was it kind of surreal once you were done that like, hey, this is the last thing that we're doing?
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of thinking back to just getting recruited, going to camps at the Baylor indoor, and just kind of being there with JT, Petrie, and Kalen, and just all my teammates. It felt super good to be in there. And it's just kind of crazy that time went by so fast. And just kind of being there just brought back tons of memories of off-season workouts, memories of just being with the team.
Raleigh, when you went to Florida, you mentioned you worked on specific things, and that's what everyone does when they get away, whether they're going to be a part of the combine or whatever it is, or in this case, Pro Day. You went to go work on specific things. How tedious is that, and how methodical do you have to be knowing that you got to tweak this or you got to tweak that, and it's not easy?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Just working on 40 starts, working on shuttle techniques, and then just everything, working for all those drills that we did yesterday. Just being super specific in the small details, because the difference between a 4.3 and 4.4 is just a step. So the start mechanics are very important, and it's super tedious just going through that. And I feel super relieved that yesterday is over now. I feel like I put my best foot forward going out there, and I feel like I just left it all out there. So I just hope that teams can see that I am capable of playing in the NFL. And I started 37 games at Baylor and played in 53 career games. And I feel like all my experience and and games that I played in and started and made plays will all work well for me.
Raleigh, you also gained a little bit of weight, which was a big thing. You know, some guys have to take it off, some guys have to put it on. You put it on, and it didn't affect you at all. It looks like it's improved everything. How did that feel when you were able to kind of show that, yes, I can put on healthy weight, I can build some strength and do some things?
Yeah, it felt good to show that, and just to show people that I am strong. And I had tons of tackles at Baylor. Had 2 sack forced fumbles, and I felt like I felt good with the weight on. I weighed in at 191 and did bench press about 15 times, and I feel like that's a strength for me.
Raleigh, a lot of people talk about Jalen Petrie and the fact that he was the lone commit when all hell broke loose, basically. But there are 2 guys on last year's roster that were around even before that. One of them was you. And one of them was also Jaron McVay. You guys are around for basically everything that's happened over the last 6 years. I can't even begin to memorize the number of position coaches that you in particular have had, defensive coordinators. I mean, the lot. How did you keep your mental semblance? How did you keep your focus and do all that when you, experienced as much change as anybody really can during a college career?
Yeah, it's tough. I had 5 different cornerback coaches, and I had 3 different defensive coordinators, and it's always tough having change with that because the techniques change and just kind of what they expect changes from what they won, and then certain guys that they recruit that they probably would rather have play in front of you. But yeah, like you said, me and McVay and Petrie, we all been around for a while, and it's tough having different coaches that come in. But we all pushed through it and all made the best of the situations.
Raleigh, I want to ask you this. You started a ton of games. You mentioned that. But the last couple of games were difficult because you didn't get a chance to play very much. How hard was that on you?
Yeah, it was tough. Just because I was used to playing pretty much every snap for the past couple years. But, I just stayed on the sideline and stayed locked in. And whenever the coaches put me in the game, I made plays and just did the best that I could whenever the opportunity came to me. And yeah, like I said, I just stayed locked in and just contributed all that I could to help the team win that Big 12 championship and Sugar Bowl.
The play I'm going to remember the most this past year, and I had to look it up to make sure who it was against, but I remember it because it was home, and it was a strip sack, and it was against Texas Tech, and it was a critical part of that game. Mm-hmm. And that kind of just, to me, summarized you, that you played with your hair on fire, you played fearless, and you made big plays, and sometimes that got overlooked.
Yeah, for sure. I've been making plays for Baylor since 2018, going all the way back to there, made some critical plays each season. And like you said, against Tech, I had that big strip sack fumble. And yeah, I feel like some of my stuff does definitely go overlooked. Going back to the COVID year, I had a great year. And didn't get voted for all Big 12, which I feel like I should have that year too. But I feel like going back, you can see I made tons of big plays, and a lot of stuff's been overlooked. In my opinion, I feel like I've definitely been the best cornerback on the team since going back to 2018, and one of the best in the conference and country. And I feel like I've showed that every time I've gotten to go out there and make plays, and definitely got to show that at Pro Day. And I feel like a NFL team that gets me will definitely get a hard worker, a guy that's very consistent, and a guy that just plays hard and just makes big plays.
Raleigh, what's it like to have a hype man like your dad?
Oh, yeah, it's cool, man. My dad, he's definitely my biggest fan, and he's been coaching me. He coached me back when I was a kid, and he still pays real close attention to everything.
Raleigh, what was kind of the discussions that you had afterwards? Was there anything in particular that you heard from scouts that was notable or that you took away from yesterday?
I feel like scouts really liked my speed. They liked my strength too. And then they liked my experience since I played in a lot of games at Baylor. So I'm just going to keep working hard and just see where all this takes me.
How big is it to have options as well? I mean, I know NFL is the goal. NFL is going to be the goal, and hopefully you get that opportunity. But there was also the CFL that was out there. The XFL was out there. Is it at least, I'm just saying, good to have options perhaps if what you want initially doesn't work out the way you plan?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those leagues are great leagues, and my older brother actually plays in Canada.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. My older brother's been playing there for the past couple years, and the CFL is a very great league, and then the XFL and USFL, it's all great opportunities to continue to play football.
I got your father and I have communicated over the years, and I remember the spring game, sat there and spoke with him for a long, long time. Brian Etheridge was standing next to us, among others. He said this, this is back on July the 9th. He said, I believe that Baylor may end up with their best defense he's ever seen, with you on it, with the best defense that Raleigh has ever been a part of at Baylor. And that says a lot because you know specifically how good that 19 defense with Matt Rule and that defensive front with James Lynch and company, Bravion Roy. But I think Baylor
is to win the Big 12 and be one of the best teams in the country, and that's why I decided to come back, was to help the team win.
So now what? What do you do now? What's next? You've had the pro day. There's going to be a while between now and whatever. What do you do now?
Right now, just continue to train, and I'm going to the Dallas Cowboys pro day tomorrow.
Good.
And it's going to be a lot of people there too from Baylor, and that's going to be a great opportunity to go do drills and run in front of those coaches and just show them what I'm capable of.
Is that their Dallas Day event that they do with all the local guys?
Yeah, it is. It's the Dallas Day.
Cool. Good deal.
Craig brought up your father, and I've said a couple of things, but this is a family deal. And there was a story in Texas football of the Tejada family. How can you try to explain the bond the Tejada family has?
Yeah, it's a tight bond. It's a lot of us. My younger brother plays at UNT. He plays cornerback. He actually started some games last season. And then my older brother, he plays in Canada. But me and my whole family, we're all very tight together and close-knit. And yeah, man, we just all root for each other and just continue to push each other to be the best that we can.
I don't think people realize that people have probably at times bet against you, and you have proven along the way, okay, just go ahead. And yesterday was a big day for you. I know there's no question about it. Good luck, Raleigh. We will be following you. And there's no question it was a day when you put your mark out there, and now we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Raleigh.
Thank you. Raleigh Tejada. You know, Craig wrote an article today about Pro Day, and it was something that you heard about the lone commit, and he mentioned Jalen Petrie, who's gotten a lot of attention. But I think Raleigh Tejada, and you mentioned Jeremy McVay, think about that. Tejada's the strip sack against Texas Tech. That was huge. That put him in a position to play in a Big 12 championship game, and then McVay made the play that will all time go down, the McPlay. But
Jalen Petrie stayed committed when Art Briles got fired. Raleigh Tejada played for Art Briles for a year and then stayed throughout all the rest of that. So he actually lost his head coach, not the coach that was recruiting him. And I'm not taking away from Jalen Petrie's lone commit, legendary status. That's always going to be a Baylor thing, and it deserves to be because he's an incredible player. But, yeah, he wasn't the only guy who showed loyalty. Raleigh Tejada showed some loyalty. And, you know, I see people, well, I mean, what else was he going to do? You know, like, just a super negative. And it's like he could have done a number of things. Dude played in a lot of games, and that was early on in his career where there wasn't, like, some judgment on who he was as a player. I mean, he had, you know, just a lot of potential. And thankfully for Baylor, he stuck around when they really needed some guys to stick around. And, you know, then look at the plays that like in the Texas Tech game that you mentioned. Look at the play Jerry McVay made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we know what Petrie did. So, those guys all had multiple opportunities and multiple coaches changes to go elsewhere. Like so many of these kids who they don't even lose coaches. They're just like, oh, NIL money, boom, I'm gone. I'm out the door. So much for loyalty, right? And, maybe NIL would have changed maybe some of that back then for some of those guys. I don't know. But just in general, there's not a lot of loyalty that goes around, and that's about as loyal of a dude as it gets.
Especially when you can transfer it. The last 3 years alone, he could have transferred and played right away. So he could have, just waited out the NCAA so they didn't have to file away. But I'll even say it the last 4 years because, before they did the one-time transfer rule, all you had to do to get a waiver was tell the NCAA, well, I'm going to take you to court. And they're like, we're spread too thin. So, yeah, you can play. Whatever it is, you can play. That's why they made the rule, because they couldn't keep going to court and losing or going to court at all, because you only have so many lawyers you can hire. And if everybody who transfers are going to file a suit against you, so they win. So, for the last 4 years, he could have gone anywhere he wanted and played right away. So, it does say a lot about Raleigh.
37 starts over his career. First year, of course, was redshirted. Played a handful of games his redshirt freshman year. Started 6 games his sophomore year, started all 14 games. The team that played for the Big 12 title and then lost in the Sugar Bowl. Started all 14 games at corner, along with 9 games in 2020, which, of course, they only played 9.
The whole season, yeah.
Yep, and then started 8 of 14 games last year at cornerback as well. And the other thing about Raleigh Tejada, now this does, again, they're going to look at, he's just a damn good kid. Great family. Good to have him on. Thank you for the time, Raleigh Tejada. Good luck tomorrow and all the others that will be at that Cowboys Pro Day or Cowboys Local College Day as well. Back with more Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? by not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference, and that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Paul's top 5 here just around the corner. Chat room going on and on. Phil, by the way, Phil Benzer asked a question. Phil, who sent us the book, A Spy in the Sky. And thank you, Phil. We mentioned that yesterday. I see you on the chat room again. Why do people wait until the very last second to file their taxes?
Beats me.
If you're going to get money back.
Yeah. I always file the extension, though, so I can't. I'm not one to answer this question. So
I filed an extension forever and ever and ever, and I might be doing it again this year. I'm not sure. But if you know you're probably going to get money back, then why wait and risk the possibility of being fined or penalized by not sending it in on like February 17th? And you got to get all your various things from employers or those you get money from. But Phil Venzer asked that question.
No, but people like to procrastinate. And then, look, if you need more than just a simple return where you have one employer, you have very little deductions, and you can go to, one of the websites and do it, then you should do it well in advance. If you just have nothing, if you're a 21-year-old kid and you work at a store and you have no deductions, you live at home, then, you can probably do it at the last minute. It's probably fine. But
Phil, it makes me work 12 hours a day, but I'm done April 19th, and I get 8 months vacation, San Diego and Texas for some Big 12 football.
Yeah, I don't listen, Phil. I get it. I don't know why you're complaining though. I mean,
8 months vacation. Okay, sign me up. But I don't know.
Yeah, but he still has to work through.
I get that 4 months of doing math for a bunch of people who don't keep receipts or know what's going on and all that. It's got to be stressful. But you get 8 months to recharge your battery. So I think you've made a good deal, Phil.
Yeah, I'm lucky to get a day, which would have been tomorrow, just to recharge batteries in 8 months. Like I don't know. I might just disappear with that much time.
Could you imagine if I just told you guys, like, look, I'll be back in 8 months, and there's nothing you could say about it, and just 8 months from now, I was like, hey, what's up?
A hell of a lot of best ofs. From Mike, when we were discussing Daniel Snyder with Craig's Off the Radar, I would not be surprised if Daniel Snyder tried to pay off congressmen and senators to rule in his favor.
I mean, I wouldn't rule anything out at this point, but I don't know how much help he's going to get. I don't know. His power seems to be weakening a little bit, and I think it kind of feels like the writing's on the wall.
What's the most important thing about the NFL? What do they protect?
The Shield, but they also do that at certain costs. I mean, they tried to protect the Shield with Ray Rice, and the Shield broke because people got videotape footage of it. So they can try to protect Daniel Snyder, whoever, but there's going to be reporters from the Washington Post that are going to keep digging into this, especially now that you're not just talking about, and I don't mean just, but you were talking about one type of a scandal and now potentially a second type of a scandal that's financial related and fraud related, and that would be, and that's when the big wigs would actually start to go, oh, wait a second here, this is too much.
And the franchise is about to get $600 million from the government to build a new stadium, which makes it even shadier and more apt to shine the light on. And the other thing is, he can maybe bribe congressmen and senators all he wants. The problem is that those things are no good if the tide. There's no benefit. for anybody in Congress or the Senate to stand up for Daniel Snyder right now, is there? Like, what benefit would you get if I'm one of the guys like, listen, I think this is a witch hunt for Dan Snyder. I back him. His conduct is beyond reproach, when you already know it isn't, because especially locally, like, in the Washington, Maryland, D.C. metro area, if you're any kind of politician there, what good is it going to do you to stick up for Dan Snyder when he's run the franchise into the rocks? If anything else, politically, you could be like, yeah, we're going to get this clown out.
Hell, Paul, they're probably part of the deal with him.
Yeah,
it's just crooks talking about crooks. That's all it really is. But, more so than the politician side of it, what does the NFL have in this?
Yeah.
Like, what did they care? Like, you mean to tell me there's not somebody that can come in and make that a better franchise pretty quickly? Because all it would take is somebody with half a brain that knows how to run a franchise. Daniel Snyder clearly does not, nor do the people that he has in charge. So, they have been wallowing in mediocrity for a long time now. And they get little glimpses, and, oh, cute, they made the playoffs. Boom, right back into mediocrity. So I don't know I don't know if it's like a Jerry Jones situation where he's got names on cards that don't want to be revealed or something. But I don't see the benefit of Daniel Snyder to the NFL anymore. Unless it's just a pure the amount of money that he has type of a thing or something. I don't know. I don't understand it at this point, and I don't think that I don't think it's going to take too much longer, too many more allegations for them to realize, like, what are we doing here? Why are we sticking our hands, or why are we planting our feet here to try and, keep this the way that it is? When I don't know, I think the best solution for Washington as a franchise is to have a fresh pair of sheets. They need it. They need a changeover. They need a changeover in a massive way. So I welcome Daniel Snyder going to the wayside. But clearly, he's got a stranglehold on his position right now, and he's not seemingly budging. So the battle will continue.
Well, it is no question more and more front and center, and usually when these things get to be where the build-up, and it's not like people have not been going after him for a long time, he did contribute to some great things too. There's no question about it. But if in fact there is fraud, or if there's anything that is just not acceptable within the Washington or NFL organization, then they'll eventually find a way. I don't think Daniel Snyder. I've never met them. Well, I have met him. I met him during Robert Griffin III's pro day. Came over and said hi because their PR guy, Tony Wiley, I knew him. But I don't know if he's evil. I don't know if he's just crooked. I don't know if he's just inept, or maybe all three. But I do know that there's a lot of smoke with what that organization is going through. No question. All right, 541. For example, he's donated to political. Somebody on the chat room, he's probably donated to some of the politicians we're talking about.
Sure, he has, yeah.
He also gave $1 million to September 11 attacks. He donated $600,000 to Hurricane Katrina, to the tsunami in Indonesia. So it's not like he hasn't done a lot of that. And a lot of times, when you have that kind of money, you donate, and you also have tax write-offs.
Bingo.
My point on the people he's donated to or bribed or whatever you want to say is that only goes so far until those people can't have their jobs anymore, because they're not going to go out on a limb and support Daniel Snyder if the community's not going to be pissed off about it. So there's no honor among thieves.
No.
So in that regard, I think that's where he might be in trouble, in that he's probably pushed himself to the limit of his effectiveness with those people and his money, in that eventually, you're going to have to give a lot more money to make it worth my while to stand up and be like, no, it's fine there, when the stadium's falling apart. The team's been bad for a quarter century. Every woman who's ever worked there has been harassed. And, all these different things are happening. It's going to be hard for you to stand up for him anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not even about, I'm not even trying to bring the guy down personally or anything either. Just saying that they suck as an organization. They're awful to watch on a year in and year out basis. And you can tell me about this playoff appearance from a couple years ago, or what they almost did 5 years ago, or whatever. But bottom line is, we talk about championships or what matter, and they haven't sniffed one in going on 30 years now at this point. Haven't even come close to one in 30 years. So we talk about the Cowboys and their brand. Oh, they haven't been to a Super Bowl. The Washington Commanders haven't even sniffed anything in 30 years. So Yeah, it's nothing personal against the guy. I mean, good on him for donating to charities, and he might be a hell of a guy. Maybe me and him would get along really well, but in terms of what we do know about him, I just don't know why it's so important for the NFL to have him in ownership. I don't get it. That's the part that's confusing to me.
One note about Raleigh Tejada, and I agree. It's again, you're right. I say it's all about protecting the shield, but they haven't always protected the shield until they basically have a gun pointed against their head. Now, one of the notes from RH5, one of my favorite plays for Raleigh Tejada, going back to that, is when he smacked that Texas guy in 2019. The one I remember is a strip sack against against Texas Tech, which they won the game. And it surely wasn't easy, but that was a huge play in that particular game. From Cameron Look, have you all seen the video of the Texas baseball coach? Video circulating in the Texas baseball coach cussing out his players in the locker room following a loss. Now that could be Augie. Was it Augie?
Well, I don't know if it was recent, but
wait, yeah,
there's one of Augie Garrido who just lays into his team. I mean, everything. And you know what? They went on to go to the College World Series. So I'm not sure, Cameron, if that's.
Unless he's smacking people around, just yelling at them, to me is not going to get my dinner up.
They just got beat 12-9 in a midweek game against Texas A&M in Austin. They've had a lot of problems with their pitching staff, which early in the year when it was healthy was dynamic, number one in the country. But they've had a lot of problems with walks and big innings and grand slams and much more, and A&M beat them. So I don't know if this is something, Cameron, that's new. And, that – I'll tell you
it is Augie. I think it is Augie Garrido video.
Augie just unleashed, pit viper venom, and I loved it. But I come from a different old school. I know things today are different, whatever, but it wouldn't have bothered me as a player.
Yeah. Did y'all happen to see the video from and I'm not trying to bash on Texas here, but I thought the far more disturbing video was the guy in the bullpen who was taking a swig from the flask and then subsequently booted off the next day. Did y'all ever catch that?
I saw that.
Yeah, they were playing somebody. I want to say it was maybe Texas State a couple weeks ago, and Shinpei saw it. And he I guess he had a buddy there in the stands, and his buddy sneaks over trying to be cool, and we're having fun here, and, hands him a flask, and he takes a big swig on camera, and, they found out about it pretty quickly, and he was booted off the next day. I don't think we'd ever touched on that, but that was a far more, disturbing video.
This is a Texas
disturbing
team.
Loosely,
This is a Texas team that could go to Omaha this year. They're good, and so they're not going to mess around. I'm not surprised it took a day.
I think it probably took less than that, dude. Drinking on the job, much less drinking at a college sporting event. When you're an athlete on the, in the bullpen, sitting there, waiting for your number to be called, that was a bad look. So that got handled swiftly, and they've had a couple of bumps, injuries, but they're the number one team coming in for a reason. Been number one, that's kind of gotten shakier now because of some of the losses, but they're not quite what they were due to injuries, but they are still very, very good. And if they get to Omaha, that would be the predictable outcome.
Right.
Them not getting there would be the surprise.
Well, and you're not David Wells on your day off in 1995. It's a different thing, man. It's.
All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina's Top 5, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 questions for Kansas as they head into the Final Four on Saturday. I saved the Big 12 for last this week. Number 5, can David McCormick control the paint against Villanova? He's been really good in spite of the fact that he's been playing injured for the last 2 months plus and is not moving around as well, but he's been really good for them and really consistent. And this is, I think, one of the advantages that Kansas really does have over Villanova heading into Saturday's game.
You know, I always thought that he was the guy that was going to be the difference for them. You heard that. And then, of course, Remy Martin has obviously been that person as well. He killed Baylor last year in that game in Lawrence when they were coming off the COVID, and they were still good. And, of course, they eventually had beaten Kansas earlier in the year. But, yeah, he can be so dominant, and then all of a sudden you don't know where he is for 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, and look, they've rotated Mitch Lightfoot in with him really well. So to stave off that knee problem he's got. Bill Self says he runs like an old man right now, but he's still been effective.
So Lightfoot's not an applicable really description of him, just his last name.
Well, Mitch Lightfoot, neither of them run. They both run.
You know what? Though?
Oh, you're talking. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Was it the last game when he was like Lightfoot had himself a pretty good game?
Not by the way related to Gordon Lightfoot, 70s. Easy rock
Never
singer.
thought he was.
Casey Lightfoot, Baylor track and field star.
Yeah.
So, number 4, will you make your free throws? This was something that they've been okay at all year, but the last couple of games they've been really bad at it, and including on Saturday early against Miami where they're not making free throws at all. Then, of course, in the second half, they didn't need to make free throws because they could have shot it backwards and it was going in. They were just so far ahead of them, especially late in the game. But against Villanova, a team that's going to play tight defense, you're probably going to get some fouls. You've got to turn those fouls into points.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I don't have anything. I mean, will they? Yeah, they should. They better hope so. The last thing you want to do is lose a game because you don't hit some free throws. And we saw that with Baylor at times this year where the free throws were a weakness of theirs. But, yeah, I mean, that's something that should be automatic, and that should be one of your last worries, quite frankly, is making your free throws.
I mean, I'm looking at their season totals. Their free throw shooting – I don't know. It doesn't have percentage.
It's just something I don't tolerate, man. I think
they're in the 70s.
67 or so, 68%. Okay.
To me, just free throws, I don't care what team we're talking about. I don't care, what level of basketball is. If you can't make free throws, I just think that's just an unnecessary weakness. And, certain coaches may place more on it, but and some teams may be good enough to get past it. But, man, it's really hard to watch teams that can't shoot free throws.
I agree.
But that's beside this topic. Kansas needs to make those, and that will give them a much better chance.
About 70%. That's pretty good. But you love to see a 75% or better. But one of the things I had a coach tell me one time, he had a young man named Williams. He was a great player, ended up going to Tulane. He played at Tyler Junior College. He didn't shoot but 66 or 67% from the free throw line. But in the last 2 minutes of a game, and he was the point guard, he shot 90%.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a hidden number, too.
Number 3, can Remy Martin keep it up? I think he can. I think he's been fantastic. I think he's on his way to being the most outstanding player of the tournament. If Kansas wins, it's going to be because of Remy Martin. And to be able to kind of stash him and get him healthy and get him adjusted to what Bill Self wanted and really get him for a nice little 6, 7, 8 game run at the end of the year. Look, that's what transfers are for, to help you win titles, and Remy Martin did not help them the majority of the year because of injuries and other things, but he's fitting in well now, and Bill Self has figured it out, and he's playing great, and he's a very scary, daunting task for that Villanova defense because he's fast.
You pegged this one several weeks ago, and it looked like he may not turn the corner, but he did, even though Bill Self and company started to get a little bit anxious and maybe impatient, as they should have, because he was not performing. And now look where he is now. They're there now because of him. Yeah, no, he's been huge this tournament in the last couple of weeks in particular. But I'm just glad we're talking about him for reasons for play. Yep. And I said that I think the last time we brought him up. I mean, it was. I was finding it tiresome to continuously talk about Kansas, and that was always the big question. It's well, what about Remy? It's kind of like talking about Baylor. When's LJ Cryer coming back? It was sort of the same thing, and it's almost okay, well, if it's not there now, you better just got to move on. And unfortunately for Kansas, I mean, they're obviously well equipped outside of him, and were able to get done what they got done during the regular season. But no, here in the postseason, I mean, this is the Remy Martin. This is why everybody was asking about him for days on end at the beginning of the season when it wasn't, looking like the best fit or the best of what Remy Martin can actually do. And now here he is, and he's doing it, and it's perfect timing.
Number 2, can your offense dictate the game? Look, Kansas is a great defensive team. Villanova is a great defensive team. Kansas has offense as well. If their offense can dictate this game, then they're going to win. I mean, because they have many more scorers. So if their offense can dictate this game, that's going to mean it's going to be really tough for Jay Wright to keep up with them.
Well, they exploded in the second half to win, what was it, on Saturday, whatever day it was. I can't remember. Sunday. And, I mean, they blew the doors off. But they also did that, created with defense. But in transition, up and down the court, and Miami knew it because Coach said it. We're good at getting up and down the court with his tempo, but this is not what we need to do today. And he was dead right. It was like a 41-16 run in the second half, whatever it was. And they do have weapons, and especially with now contributions. And they got a few points from Lightfoot as well, not just rebounds. And they blew their doors off.
Yeah, and number 1. Will Ochai be Ochai? That is a big question because the first couple games of the tournament, they really didn't get that much from their star, the Big 12 player, the best player of the Big 12 this year, Ochai Agbaji, one of the best players in the country, a Naismith finalist. They did not get that from him. Now, against Miami, they did, especially late in that game. So if he can be himself, if you get 2 out of these 3 scoring, which with Brown, Abaji, and Martin, you're going to be fine. But if you get all 3 of them, then they're going to win the title. Bottom line, they're the best team in the tournament if those 3 can all do that at once. But they're playing a really good team on Saturday, and then if they win, they're going to play a really good team on Monday. So, but if Ochai Abaji can be Ochai Abaji, this team will win this game going away.
I was curious what's the definition of Ochai, and it's popping up, but it says something like king of children in Nigeria. And I'm not saying that's where it began, but he is so good. Man, is he so good. And you can rely, I think, on Ochai being Ochai. But Villanova's going after. They're gonna play some defense, no question.
Yeah, no, he's right though. I mean, if Kansas is at full strength and everybody's playing at their highest level, then they have a bit more firepower than Villanova does. I mean, going back to the free throws thing though, I do think that is something that could be really, under the radar. Maybe not so much under the radar, but notice an article where Villanova is. And I need to read more about it, but, maybe the top, depending on how they finish these last couple of games, if they play a couple of games, maybe one of the greatest free throw shooting teams of all time, like the top mark of all time. So just wanted to go back to that briefly. But, yeah, I mean, I'd assume one of the best players in all of college basketball is going to be ready to be one of the best players in college basketball, and he'll be huge for Kansas this weekend.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. We've gone through all 4. Tomorrow, we will focus in with some of the analysts who cover the 4 teams, Duke, Villanova, North Carolina, and Kansas as well. All right, thanks to all of our guests from Keontae George to start us off, all the way to Raleigh Tejada, who joined us on Zoom. We appreciate Faith Lynch being in studio today. Emery Winter in studio, Armstrong Sims as well, and Jack McKenzie's over at Baylor football. Media session about to start yet again. The kind of content we're popping up on the site if you haven't been on it. And Brian Etheridge, by the way, has put up a promotion about road trips to games at Brigham Young in Oklahoma in football. That's pretty awesome. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Thanks to all of our amazing sponsors. We're approaching 2 years next week. Thank you. Good night. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.